Good evening, Board of Directors, Superintendent Larios, and staff and guests, both online and in person. Bienvenidos a todos que están aquí. Gracias por estar aquí. Siempre es un deseo ver a todas las caras de los papás y de sus hijos. It is now 5:45 p.m. and I will now call this regular board meeting to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we have the agenda here before us. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
I make a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor of adopting the agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0 vote. Next, we have staff and student recognitions this evening. I would like to go ahead and welcome the Woodburn Preschool, presented by Director Sonia Kuhl.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I am honored to recognize 4 staff members who embody the true values of our district strategic plan. Their dedication, passion, and hard work are invaluable, and they perform thankless jobs with huge hearts. I want to express my deepest gratitude for everything they do. At this time, I don't know why I'm getting emotional. I would like to call up Imelda Maya, Ludmila Slivkov, Lourdes Falcón, Teresa Reyes. I'd like to start off honoring Ludmila Slivkov, better known as Teacher Mila. Mila is a Russian dual pre-K instructor. She is kind, compassionate, and families, staff, and students adore her. She joined the district in 2015 and has been instrumental in ensuring her students are kinder ready. Additionally, Mila plays a crucial role in growing and strengthening our Russian program in the elementary school. On top of her demanding role, Mila is also juggling going to school to earn her degree in early childhood education. This demonstrates her unwavering commitment to professional growth and improving the educational experience for her students. Mila, your hard work and dedication are greatly appreciated. Wait, I'm not done. Can't see you. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. I don't know why. This is not me. I don't get emotional like this. Mila, your hard work and dedication are greatly appreciated. Your welcoming nature and constant smile make a significant difference in creating your normally not this emotional. Lourdes Falcón. Lourdes is our Preschool Promise Spanish Dual Pre-K instructor. She has been with us since 2014. She brought 20 years of teaching experience, which strengthens our preschool program and mentors new staff members. She also helps us strengthen the Spanish program in the elementary school. Despite a long day at work, Lourdes goes above and beyond by providing ready for kinder evening classes for parents, showcasing her extraordinary dedication and commitment to their success. Lourdes, your hard work and dedication are greatly appreciated. Your firm yet loving approach and evening classes demonstrate your commitment to our students and our families. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. I do need help. Next is Teresa Reyes. Teresa has been with the district since 1998. bringing 27 years of expertise. She has gracefully worn many hats, including program secretary, student data specialist, migrant recruiter, and now program secretary at the preschool since its inception in 2014. Teresa has gone through the growing pains of the preschool's expansion and has been a key player in its success. She is a problem solver, which makes her excel in her job. Staff can always count on Teresa when they need something. The students love her because of her approachable nature and welcoming demeanor. Teresa, your hard work and dedication are greatly appreciated. You are the backbone of the preschool. I'm not done. Oh my gosh, and I can't see. Thank you, honey. Thank you so much. Thank you for helping. Teresa, your hard work and dedication are greatly appreciated. You are a backbone of our preschool, and your ability to welcome everyone with open arms makes you indispensable. Your unwavering support and problem-solving skills have been instrumental in creating a nurturing, efficient environment for staff, students, and parents. Thank you. Can't hug your old cry. All right. Imelda joined the district in 2007 and has been a pivotal part of our preschool program since 2018. She coordinates our kinder readiness initiatives and collaborates closely with neighboring preschools and childcare providers. Imelda also works tirelessly to coordinate additional Ready for Kindergarten readiness classes for our migrant parents, demonstrating her dedication to ensuring all students have a strong foundation for their educational journey. She wears many hats and handles multiple roles with grace, strengthening our preschool program and fostering a collaborative environment. Imelda, your hard work and dedication are greatly appreciated. Your ability to juggle strengthen our preschool program is commendable. I couldn't ask for a better team. Each of you brings something unique and invaluable in our district. Your passion, dedication, and unwavering commitment make you last in impact on our students, families, and communities. It is truly an honor to work closely together to meet our community's needs and become a brighter future for our children. Thank you for being the heart and soul of our district. Together, we are making a difference, one child at a time. Thank you.
Now we're going to recognize our students so we can have our students. And Gianna, Iram, Camila. And Alonso. There you go. Thank you.
Okay. Diana, come over here, honey, with me. Thank you. And we're going to start by recognizing one of our students at the Creative Learning Center. This is Gianna Leon, and this is what her teacher wrote about Gianna. Says, I have chosen Gianna because of her attendance and notable effort to learn. Gianna is very creative and likes to work on projects and engaging in read-alouds by sharing her ideas and opinions. During small groups activities, she likes for her work to be well done and sometimes can be a perfectionist. Gianna is also very kind and respectful and responsible student who likes to make friends and help her classmates. Gianna, you add creativity to our classroom and inspire others to be creative and engaging. Congratulations, Gianna. Keep up your good work.
Okay, this is Alonso Yanez, and he's with teacher Kenya. This is what she wrote about him. Alonso is always eager to learn about new things, such as new unit studies, concept, new roles, expectations. He has also shown a lot of growth in literacy, learning his letters, sounds, and writing, and math, counting, recognizing numbers and shapes. He also loves to help his friends and teachers with anything. He really does. And during the school day, he makes sure that his friends are making good choices and will remind them if they're not. Thank you, Alonso, for your help. You're a role model for being helpful in the classroom and helping to hold everyone accountable. Next, we have Iram in Teacher Falcon's classroom. And this is what she wrote. I have chosen Iram to be recognized today because of her great progress in learning Spanish. Iram comes from a very different cultural background. At home, she speaks Arabic, Somali, English, and now she is learning Spanish at preschool. At the beginning of the school year, Iram was very shy and did not participate much in class. As she became familiar with the new language, her participation greatly improved. Her ability to understand the language has significantly improved. This is noticed by the fact that she interacts and responds to her classmates and teachers as well, to her classmates and teachers, as well as her engagement in read-alouds and playful conversations. Iram is also very compassionate and kind to everyone at school. You are a role model for multilingualism in our classroom, inspiring others with your language skills and dedication to learning. Congratulations, Iram. We are very proud of you.
So this is Camila Balyak. Camila is very talented and curious learner. She's always willing to help and encourage her peers with a positive attitude. Her bright smile and eagerness to explore makes our preschool a wonderful place. Camila's favorite things to do in class are crafts and play with Play-Doh. Thank you, Camila, for being a ray of sunshine in our classroom. We love having you in our class.
Okay, we're gonna shift everybody this way. We'll have the adults in the back and then we'll put a little thing. Okay. Careful with those here. The teachers. There we go. Good job, so we'll have everyone look at Daisy here and then we'll wait and have that parent take pictures too, okay? So first Daisy. A little bit backwards. Okay, right here. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay, and then wait. Parents.
All right, congratulations again to our preschool students and preschool staff. So next we have Washington Elementary School, presented by Principal Alfredo Bellinger and Assistant Principal Antonio Ramos.
All right, Ms. Morales and Ms. Lomeli, can you please come up? All right, we ready? So it is with great appreciation that we recognize Ariana Morales for her outstanding contributions to the Washington community. Over the past 3 years, she has served as both an instructional assistant and as a dedicated parent, leaving a lasting impact on our students and staff. Ariana embodies kindness, patience, and reliability. Her flexibility and solution-oriented mindset make her an invaluable asset to our team. She consistently goes above and beyond, often volunteering to support our after-school events and stepping in as an emergency substitute whenever we need her. We're especially thrilled that Ariana is part of the teacher apprenticeship program, taking the next steps toward becoming a teacher. With her passion and dedication, there's no doubt that she will excel in this role. We look forward to seeing her continue to inspire and shape the lives of our students for years to come. Here are a few words from colleagues. Mrs. Morales is an outstanding instructional assistant and a true asset to our school community. I don't have enough words to describe what a wonderful person she is. Her dedication in everything she does at work, home, and church is truly inspiring. Mrs. Morales is an amazing colleague. She's an example of commitment and dedication, always willing to go above and beyond, not only for the well-being of the students, but also for those of us who work with her. Please join me in celebrating Ariana Morales for her commitment and positive impact she brings to our school every day. It is it's an absolute privilege to recognize Aurea Lomeli, one of our dedicated second grade teachers, for her unwavering commitment. First grade now. That's right, I'm gonna talk about that. And contributions to the Washington community over the past 5 years. Not only she's a phenomenal educator, but she's also the proud mother of 2 amazing educators continuing the legacy of learning. They're right over there. Mrs. Lomeli's journey with us is truly inspiring. She began as a parent volunteer, completed her student teaching at Washington, and then gained experience as an instructional assistant at Lincoln before coming the full circle and returning to Washington as a teacher. Her flexibility and teamwork are evident in her willingness to teach across multiple grade levels, including kinder, first grade, and second grade. Beyond the classroom, Ms. Lomeli is a respected teacher leader, admired by her colleagues for her dedication and passion. She deeply cares about the academic success of every student and goes above and beyond to support their growth. A true hard worker, she often stays well beyond the school day, dedicating her time to initiatives that strengthen our school community. She has volunteered to teach parenting classes, actively participate in the District Oregon RTI team, and served as a mentor teacher, shaping the next generations of educators. She's actually Ms. Morales' mentor teacher. Here are a few words from colleagues. As a leader in our school, Ms. Lomeli inspires others with a commitment to excellence and passion for learning. Beyond her professional expertise, Aurea is known for being incredibly kind, always offering support and encouragement to those around her. The Woodburn School District is very lucky to have her. Aurea Lomeli exemplifies what it means to be a committed and compassionate educator. We are incredibly grateful to have her as part of the Washington family. Please join me in celebrating Ms. Lomeli for her outstanding dedication and leadership. All right, we're gonna have students next, and Mr. Ramos. So we have, who's here? I think Ruth is here. Janet and Stephanie. Can you guys come up?
Gracias, Ruth. Gracias, Stephanie. Digo, Janet. Ok. Tengo a Janet, puedes pasar acá. Ok. Miembros de la mesa directiva, vamos a hacerlo en español para las familias. Okay. So, hay muchas cosas que decir de Janet. Estas son unas palabras de su maestra. Dice, a medida, hoy, la sólida ética de trabajo y determinación de Janet se reflejan en su impresionante crecimiento académico. Ha logrado un progreso notable tanto en las matemáticas como en lectura, tanto en español como en inglés, demostrado por su evaluación de MAPS. En la aula, ella ejemplifica lo que significa ser seguro, respetuoso, responsable y positivo. Ha demostrado constantemente estas calidades en sus interacciones tanto con adultos como con sus compañeros. Como miembro del Consejo Estudiantil de Washington y participante en el PBIS Roundup de este año, ella es una estudiante comprometida y activa. La amabilidad de Janet se refleja en su disposición a apoyar y ayudar a los demás cuando sea necesario. Muchísimo buen trabajo, Janet. Vamos a celebrar a Janet. Ok, Ruth. Aquí son unas palabras que dice la maestra Vázquez de ella. A medida que avanzaba el año escolar, Ruth ha demostrado una notable dedicación y determinación para superar los desafíos del aula. Ha pasado sus descansos y recreo practicando las tablas de multiplicar y ha dominado la división, sin darse nunca por vencida o a pasar de los contratiempos. Su perseverancia ha dado sus frutos. También se ha esforzado por leer en voz alta y abordar libros por encima de su nivel de grado. Más allá de ello, de lo académico, Ruth demuestra paciencia y empatía hacia sus compañeros y siempre ofrece apoyo a quienes necesitan ayuda adicional o se sienten frustrados. No importa la situación, ella se asegura de que todos se sientan incluidos. Gracias, Ruth.
I can't. Bueno, familias, por lo menos de Washington, en este momento digo la presentación de los padres ya ha concluido, así es que si quieren quedarse, se pueden quedar, o si pueden, te digo, también se pueden retirar a sus hogares si no quieren escuchar la siguiente parte. Ustedes deciden. Pero gracias por haber venido esta tarde.
And again, congratulations to our students and staff. Y gracias, felicidades también a los padres. Next, we will be moving on to public comment. So thank you for being at the Woodburn School District Board meeting tonight and for sharing your comments with the board. Hearing from our families and our community is important to us. During this section, the board's role is to listen. We will not be engaging in dialogue with folks making comments. When follow-up is warranted, that will usually be done through our superintendent. As a reminder, we model the way for our children. Please keep your comments respectful and do not personally identify staff or students by name as this may violate HR and student privacy laws. We want to leave time for everyone, so please keep your comments to 3 minutes per person. Thank you. So I would like to go ahead and invite Max Sanchez.
Good evening. I have had the privilege of being a teacher at Woodburn High School for the past 5 years, and in that time, I have grown to deeply care about our students, families, and community. Recent events at the national level have created a climate of fear, anxiety, and uncertainty in our community that has had a profound impact on the lives of many of our students, as well as their ability to learn and my ability to teach. Over the past several weeks, I have had a number of students ask me a simple question: are we safe at school? Students cannot learn, and a school or district cannot be successful unless their basic needs are met. One of the most important of these needs is safety. A student who does not feel safe cannot rise to their full potential and cannot experience the sense of connection and belonging that is so essential to the learning process. For many of our undocumented students and their families, this uncertainty has become an unfortunate fact of life. In this difficult time, I cannot overemphasize the importance of making sure that our schools are safe and welcoming spaces. When any of our students walk through the school door, they should know they are entering a place where they will be supported, included, and above all, safe. By issuing a statement of support, you will demonstrate your commitment to our students, families, and community, regardless of immigration status. By supporting our undocumented families, you will reaffirm Woodburn School District's commitment to diverse and inclusive practices, as well as helping to ensure that all our students feel safe at school. This statement will go a long way toward reassuring our families and restoring the positive school climate that makes Woodburn so special. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I would like to invite Tony Song.
Good evening. I'm pleased that voices from this community have been heard and that a proposed resolution entitled Reaffirming Safe and Welcoming Schools for All, which expresses support for Oregon's sanctuary laws as they apply to public schools, will be voted on and I trust passed tonight by the Woodburn School Board. For this, in advance, I offer sincere thank you. While this is a vital step in affirming our support for the students we serve, a resolution in and of itself is merely a statement of principle. We can't rest on that. The test for us over the coming weeks, months, and years is what we do in our classrooms to put these words into action, making sure that we openly acknowledge our students' legitimate fears related to deportations and that we do everything we can to make them aware of their rights as well as that of their families, as well as to support their emotional and physical well-being. This can come in the form of hiring additional school counselors whose workloads in the face of high numbers of traumatized students were already untenable, even before the immigration issue came to the fore. In closing, I urge you, this community urges you, and many people in this room urge you to remember the fundamental duty you assumed as elected officials, to serve and protect all the students and families in our district. The fear and uncertainty caused by immigration raids are not abstract issues. They are lived realities for many in our community, affecting children's ability to learn, thrive, and feel safe in their own schools. You have the power and responsibility to ensure that every student, regardless of their family's documentation status, feels valued and supported. I ask you to stand firmly in defense of this gloriously diverse Woodburn community, to recognize the trauma that many families are enduring, and to commit to policies that affirm the dignity and humanity of every child who walks through our school's doors. History will remember the choices you make. Let them be ones of courage, compassion, and unwavering support for the students whose futures depend on your decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy Mincer.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Mincer, and I'm in my 10th year as a licensed educator in Woodburn and my 25th year in education. My comments tonight are in direct response to statements made by board members during the regular board session on 12/17/24, which is available to view on YouTube. The segment of the meeting to which I'm referring was a discussion regarding who should be included in the survey connected to the evaluation of the superintendent. The OSB staff was asking who works directly with the superintendent in order to include those individuals in the survey. At 2:41:02, one board member commented that he wants union leadership included. At 2:53:54, the board chair comments, "I'm not for union leadership," followed by another board member responding, "Neither am I." OSB staff asked why. The chair responded, "It involves politics, and when it comes to that, I'm just not okay with that." Another board member replied, "I feel like that's where we'll get a lot of unnecessary public comments." The first issue in this disrespectful exchange, "It's political," is an interesting statement coming from someone in a political position. This whole process is political. The public whose comments were said are unnecessary are your voters, the people who put you in this position. Is that how you show respect to them, letting them know it is unnecessary to hear from them? The superintendent was asked who of the licensed staff he most interacts with. He answered, "Union leadership is who I have the most face-to-face contact with on a regular basis." The board member who previously stated they wanted to hear from the union said, "I think it's important feedback." The chair replied, "And I still disagree." Later, when discussing which administrators to include, at 3:05:49, the chair added that she didn't want to include district office directors, some of whom she stated still remain in the same jobs as when there were lawsuits, referring to a confidential matter. The superintendent said that he works closest with the directors. The impression left from this exchange is that she has some distrust of people who still have the same jobs as when previous superintendents were here, as was she. What this actually has to do with measuring the performance of our current superintendent over the past year is baffling at best. So even when the board was informed of who works the most closely with the superintendent, this did not change the chair's opinion on who should be surveyed. The way these opinions were shared publicly came across as very rude and disrespectful. Board members are elected by the public. In future meetings, I hope that the members who struggle with hearing public opinions that may be contrary to their own will be able to show respect to the community and staff of this district and strive to better serve those who elect them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to invite Amalia Moreno.
Good evening. I am Amalia Moreno, a second grade teacher at Heritage Elementary. I am sharing family concerns regarding immigration issues. Many families have shared their concerns about their child's safety with me in the last few months. In the month of December, I was contacted by a parent. She was concerned about sending her child to school due to immigration, and I'm going to take their child from the school grounds. And I did my best to assure the parent that her child is safe at school and to send them to school. I told her that I have been working for the school district for many years and that I hadn't seen immigration taking children from our school settings. I tried to help the parent understand that sending her child to school is a safe decision. Fortunately, having this conversation with a parent did not affect that one student's attendance. But what about all of those other families of students who may not have felt confident to reach out to their teacher about this matter? We already have attendance issues. Just putting the thought out there. Woodburn School District's mission is to put students and families first, with the action of letting the community know that their children will be protected. To some degree, this resolution demonstrates that, yes, Woodburn School District does put students first. And I'd love to see that. I mean, more power to it, more action to it. Let's see, to some degree there is, okay, sorry. We thank you for that. And it is my hope that this action is taking a step towards working collaboratively with our families in our communities. The resolution that restates that state laws about sanctuary, that the board will vote on this is a positive step. However, these words must be backed up by actions. Actions such as distributing red cards to students and families that inform immigrants of their legal rights, hiring additional counselors for students who can be there for students going through trauma over immigration issues involving their families, and continuing to speak up publicly in defense of this community and in support of its dual language programs. We educators value our community. As an educator as an educator in Woodburn and a Woodburn voter, I implore you to continue and after tonight's meeting to stand shoulder to shoulder with the community. That's all I will say.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, that concludes our public comment for this evening. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. So moving on next, we have board reports, and this is an opportunity for board members to share how we are individually and collectively moving the school district mission forward. Any volunteers who would like to share first?
Well, I attended the only Ballard site visit, Ballard Elementary site visit. I missed the Heritage Elementary, but I've been involved with some city council meetings and also trying to strategize on how we can get our teens, our high schoolers more involved in the community. Because the city's got lots of opportunities for them to be more voluntary, for instance, during the summers. So versus in the library, the pool, which is, and then as well as the history, what is that?
The museum.
The museum, which always has voluntary opportunities for students during the summer.
I attended the school tours. I'll plan on attending the school tour this Thursday, and I've been watching webinars over the school board's responsibilities, roles and responsibilities.
Thank you.
I'm doing my best to serve by getting up to speed and learning. I have spoken with science teachers at French Prairie, and I have business, speaking about businesses, community businesses and supporting interest. and just talking about selling our district.
Thank you.
I also went on the tours and have been working on the webinars, but I also attended the fantastic Russian festival that was out at Heritage and Valor, and it was just phenomenal. I think they're probably outgrown that space. It's just growing and absolutely, they put so much work into it, and the number of volunteers that they have putting I went a couple of years ago, and from then until now, it has just expanded the amount of work that the parents collaboratively working with the teachers and the community. It's just phenomenal. And the food that I took home to my family was fantastic. And just, I mean, from every age group, it was just a wonderful celebration, and everybody loved it. Every age group was just excited and having fun, and I thought it was just beautiful. It was great.
Thank you. I didn't have a chance to go this year, but I did go last year and I did enjoy
Yes,
Same here.
it's
the
wonderful.
pastries and
Oh, yes.
connecting with families.
Mhm.
I have also attended the tour and will be going again this Thursday. And again, like many of you, been watching webinars, so have I. And today we get to discuss one of them, and that's the budget and finance. So thank you everyone for sharing. So next we have the Office of the Superintendent.
And so we're going to welcome back our administrators who we just heard from when they recognized our students and staff. And we're starting by welcoming back Director Cool to have a presentation on our preschools. I think this is our first year including our preschools as part of our school reports. They're a valuable part of our pre-K through 12 community here. And we want to give them an opportunity to share a little bit about what's happening in our preschool programs as well.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Legaspi, Superintendent Larios, and board members. Here with me is Imelda Amaya, my coordinator at the preschool, and she's going to help me with this presentation. Go forward, because I can't see. I promise not to be emotional in this presentation. Oh, perfect. Thank you. Oh, yeah, let's do it. So again, I'm the director of the program, and Imelda is my instructional coach and KPI coordinator. And my program secretaries is Teresa Reyes, and then Carl at the Cipriano and Heritage. And at the CLC, I have Carla Padron. And here's our fabulous staff that was recognized tonight. Great pictures, and our littles. So the Woodburn School District preschool program. So it's one program, however, it is funded with 3 different funds. One is with the Preschool Promise with the state, Migrant Preschool, and the Title 1A, which is 2 classrooms, which is Heritage Russian Program, and another one at the CLC, which is a Title 1A, also Spanish program. The Preschool Promise at Cipriano is 4 classrooms, and then the Migrant classroom is also located at Cipriano. We have a total of 128 8 preschool slots, and the hours there are from 7:30 to 2:20 p.m. Do you want anything else? It's not going? Okay. We also oversee the Woodburn School District Teen Parent Program. It's an infant toddler classroom at the CLC. It has a capacity for up to 5 to 8 children. It's available for any teen parent enrolled in the Woodburn School District. The service hours is different than my preschool hours, which is from 8:15 a.m. to 3:45. It is the same time as the high school students have to be at the high school. Transportation is provided for those students. And then we do have a contact with DELC, the Department of Early Learning Care, and we get reimbursed for 5 of the kids, or 5 of their little toddlers. Actually, I should say babies and toddlers. They're so cute.
Sorry, can you tell me what is the DELC?
Department of Early Learning Care.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
They renamed, there used to be the Early Learning Division, so now they're called DELF, the Department of Early Learning and Care.
Oh, is this at the state level?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Want to go back? Okay.
More. Does that more, yeah, they went, oh no, go back.
You got it? Um, Our enrollment capacity. So the preschool promise has a capacity of 72 students. Current enrollment is 72. Our migrant pre-K has a capacity of 20. Right now, we're an enrollment of 14. The Title 1A at Heritage capacity, we've met the capacity 20, and the same thing with the Creative Learning Center. And our teen parent class has, at the moment, we have 4 infant toddlers. Our attendance rate is really good. The preschool promise is at 88%. Our migrant pre-K is 93. Our Title 1A at Heritage is 94%, and the other preschool at the Creative Learning Center is 89%. And the reason that this is really high, and honestly, I have to say because it's of our instructors. I mean, parents have to drop off the kids and they have to pick up the kids. So there's that teacher, instructor, classified one-on-one contact every day. And also reminding our parents, having that relationship, building on that relationship with the parents and the students, and reminding kids that they're missed at school. So that I think has really helped. It's a plus for us because it's what we do. It's a common practice that already exists at the preschool.
Also, for our Title I preschools at Heritage and Creative Learning Center, we do have long waiting lists already for both, specifically our Russian program. I know that we would have enough to do 2 classrooms. However, we don't have the capacity or the staffing at this time, but we do already have long waiting lists for both of the programs in Title 1A.
And can I ask, is that through federal funding?
I'm sorry, what?
Are your programs federally funded?
The migrant and Title 1A. So Title 1A is federally funded, and those are 2 classrooms, my Russian program and then another dual Spanish. And then, of course, the migrant preschool.
And you mentioned long waiting lists, so how far out?
We
Well, we have, just depends, but we do have like I want to say the Creative Learning Center, we have, our capacity is only 16 and we right now already have 13 kids for our new school year next year. So that means only 3 more spots available for our community here. And for Heritage, we have already the 20 students for the new school year as well. Also want to highlight that for the Title 1A programs, we do emphasize on students who are 4 going into kindergarten in the fall. So we prioritize those students that are already 4. In any event that we have more than the 20 spaces available, we do a lottery. So it's not kind of in the first come, first serve. We try to do those that are transitioning into kindergarten because our main purpose is to get them ready for kindergarten, so school readiness. So we will prioritize and do lottery if needed for those families.
I have a question. The barrier to expanding the program, I mean, that's a really small number. What are as you see it, the largest barriers? Is it space? Is it the money? Is it
all of the above.
all the above?
Both. So space, right now we are leasing at Cipriano, and then I have 1 preschool at Heritage, which is at a different school, and then of course at CLC, which is like a modular.
Right.
And also funding. So the
Right.
preschool promise from the state only gives me enough slots for 4 classrooms. My migrant, I have I have more money in there, but I'm also competing with migrant with other community Head Start, OCDC. So there's other competitive factors out there. So I could have more numbers there, and probably maybe in the next year or 2, I could probably do more migrant, but I don't have the students right now.
Are they intermixed? Or they
The kids don't know. You go into the program and you don't know who's my
Right.
migrant, but I braid my funding. So it's one comprehensive preschool, and then
Right.
nobody but us, not even the teachers sometimes know,
Yeah.
like
Okay.
who the students are in the classroom.
Okay. So I am curious to know more about the space. right? If we can't, that's a spot, even if you have the money, if you don't have the space. So let's think, plant a seed on that.
Oh, I've been wanting that for a long time. Believe me, the
Yeah.
seed is planted.
Okay, well, in my brain, thank you.
It's not growing. So we participate in the Spark program, and I'm going to have Imelda talk to you more about that.
Okay, so a lot of the early learning programs in the state, they could be centers like what we have right now at Cipriano. It could be in-home childcare providers that also provide preschool, things like that. We participate in a program called Spark. So basically it's an Oregon's quality recognition improvement system that helps us making sure that we provide high quality programs and early childhood programs in the state. There's a lot of programs that apply, so you can see a graph there, but only 8% of the programs are in 5-star rated. There's many, many, so a total number, for example, on the last data that we have was there were over 4,000 applications submitted they go through evaluation process through institute research at Western Oregon University. And out of those 4,593, only 319 programs are 5-star rated. So it's a very small number in the state. And so since the starting of our preschool, we have been a 5-star rated program, and we have continued to maintain that. There's also 33 standards which we have to comply with in order to maintain our rating. They're broken into different categories. So our first one is the children's learning and development, health and safety, personal qualifications, family partnerships, and admin and business practices.
I attribute our success in being a 5-star rating or being rated as a 5-star too. I only started with one class. I mean, it was my migrant preschool that I started. It was one. So we were able, while it was a lot of work, I'm not going to lie. I mean, you have to show evidence of a lot of things, and they come in and visit. It was nice to have one, and then we can just replicate that moving forward with all the other classrooms that we were opening, and we were able to show the other classrooms like what a model classroom would be looking like. So we were fortunate in that aspect that in some cases you open 3 to 4 classrooms. It makes it more difficult as opposed to starting small with one and then building up. So I'm very grateful for that. And of course, my staff to continue on with that high rate of being rated at a 5-star.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, we have been a 5-star rated program. I also want to share with you guys, so a lot of, even right now, some of the like community colleges, that's the Clackamas Community College and Chemeketa Community College, who have the ECE programs, the early child education programs, many of their students are, sometimes contact me or our district because they want to come and do their practicum with us. And because we are a 5-star rated program, this is what one of the requirements that they have to be in a 5-star rated program in order to do their practicums and stuff. And so sometimes we do get some staff that come in into our preschools as well as into our infant toddler classroom at the Creative Learning Center.
I do want to be clear that even though we are 5-star rated, it does not mean that we have areas to improve. I could highly say that there are areas that we can improve in all the time. We are one of the things that gives me a lot of, pride is that we are rated the highest in the state on academics. Most of the preschools that come in, they really are more on a social, emotional, and the other domains in the other areas. But academically, we are rated the highest in the state. And again, I just want to say, and I want to put it out there that, when I look at this, I feel like it's just compliance. We're meeting the bare minimum, but we can always go to great, to good, to great. And I know that my team has the capacity, and we will be working on that to continue to get better at what we do.
What year did it begin?
2014, right? 2014, I just said that earlier. It's like, why is 2014
So,
in my head?
it's about a decade. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Western, any of the larger 4-year universities? Because we just need to get the Secretary of Education out here and, right? And, or any national associations that the program is affiliated with? What is it, the NY?
Not
I
at
can't
not
remember.
at
YIST
this
or
moment.
whatever.
Yeah, we have done, or I'm doing my research and seeing we can get certified through the National Education of Young Children, which was the conference that we attended this was it? Yeah, the NYC in October. So yeah, there is. And so a lot of the requirements to be nationally accredited are kind of the same as what we do right now, and a little bit more. So yeah,
Yep.
there's a lot work to be actually nationally recognized. Right now, we're at the state level, but hopefully that is a goal for us to get there.
I'm just wondering if partnering with the four-year universities might help. The other question I had for you, have you heard anything coming down the pipeline? I know 3 to 10 billion was cut from the National Science Foundation in their grants for higher ed in teacher prep. So I'm wondering if you're hearing any information in questioning the funding, if cuts and anything from the
Not at
federal?
the moment.
Great. Let's pray.
Yes.
Okay.
Again, as Sonia mentioned, one of the things that kind of sets us a little bit is that focus on the early literacy in math parts that we have in our school or preschool. So our teachers use a tool called TS Gold Assessment, where they're constantly evaluating children in social, emotional, physical, language, cognitive literacy, and math development. And all of these is really what we have on the Oregon Early Learning Guidelines. So the standards are very aligned to those standards, the Oregon standards. And TS Gold is just a tool where we use to for teachers to do their observations. So they'll take pictures of the children, notes of the children of how they're progressing, so they don't really just sit them there and test them. It's all done through observation and everyday observations. And that's why also attendance is really important. That's one of the things that we do reiterate to parents. If your child is absent, we're not able to assess them and see how their growth is, because we do all of our assessment through observations as they're playing and as we're doing small group activities or any planned activities that we have in class. Our teachers do 3 cycles of their assessment, one in the fall, one in the winter, and then spring. And then also additional screenings that we do for all of our preschools are vision, dental, and hearing screenings on the health side of it.
And one of the things with the gold assessment that I want to talk more about is that when they're doing an observation, it is video recorded. So they save that. So it's nice, like during conferences, or to go back and look or capture moments in time when the student was actually able to do something. So it's very intensive. I mean, it takes a lot of training for this. And the teachers are, not only are the instructors doing it, but also the instructional assistants. So there's a lot of training that goes behind that as well.
Yeah, our staff needs to be very familiar with the Oregon Early Learning Guidelines and the TS Gold Assessment, because they really need to know exactly what area that observation goes into. So it does take a little bit of time for them to do that. Another part of my job is coordinating anything that has to do with the KPI grant or Kindergarten Partnership and Innovation Grant that we have in the district. With this grant, we provide different parent workshops in our community. These parent workshops are open to any parent in our community that have children, newborns up to 5 years old. We provide parenting classes, kindergarten transition presentations to our community partners such as OCDC, Community Action, sometimes in-home care providers as well. We also have, I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. It's fairly new in Woodburn. As of right now, we only have 529 children registered, which is, according to our census, is only about 27% of the eligible children in the Woodburn community. So we do need to do a little bit more work in advertising that and getting more children registered for that. This is a very good opportunity for families to receive free books monthly for the children according to their age. So as soon as they're born, as long as they're 1 day old, they can register. So if they register right as the newborn, they can receive a free book every month until they're age 5. So for 5 years, which is great. Also, again, everything is completely free for everybody in the community. There's only 2 more SEEP codes that the coordinators are working on getting on board. And as soon as those are on board, our community will be able to select books, bilingual books. Right now, books are only available in English. But because our community is a bilingual community, we are working on trying to get more books that are bilingual so that our families can have a choice once they register to receive bilingual books in there. part of it, of the KPI initiative, is also planning professional development for pre-K to third grade educators. So many of our educators in the district participate in some of these professional development seminars that we put on together in collaboration with the Early Learning Hub. We also provide supplemental materials that are focused on early literacy.
And I really want to give kudos to Imelda because prior to this, before I started my preschool promise, I started with the Kinder Preschool Initiative, and that was, I think, in 2012-13. And that was just trying to do kinder readiness classes for our parents. I had a full-time person that was working for that. I had Sarayi, and then I had Jessica that was a full-time. Not only did they help in Woodburn, it went through Woodburn funds. They paid us, but they also supported the surrounding school districts. I think it was 2 years ago. Where last year, was it last year? Where I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna have, I asked the hub if I could just keep that money and that portion of the money for just giving it to Imelda so we can have a better comprehensive preschool and early learning program. And so they were really happy, which I didn't think they were going to be. And I'm really happy because now, I mean, except for that, I added more to Imelda's plate, but she took it on very gracefully. But it just helps to strengthen this program with the hub and working with different entities to just strengthen the overall program of the preschool. So anyway, it's been working out really well. I think it's been working out, right, Imelda?
Yes, it
has. So thank you. But yes. This is something that I've been very happy about. We started having applied behavior analysis, board certified behavior analysts coming to the preschool, and this started last year. So this is giving, and instead of we have a consultant coming in that's contracted, and they come and help support our teachers become our own ABA specialist, at our, behavior technicians. So then instead of relying on somebody coming in and helping us with those behavior issues, that my teachers and my classified staff are actually getting that training so they know how to better support, so that they have the skill set to support our kids that have behavior issues. Instead of relying on one person coming in all the time and waiting for that person, this consultant is coming in and working on having my teachers be ABA technicians. And we started last year, and the teachers are, they're really happy. Of course, it's not like somebody else coming in and trying to save them from, and doing the work. It's literally giving our teachers and our assistants the skill set to be able to work with behavioral kids or students that have behavioral issues.
So are these volunteers, or they're actually paid?
They're paid.
They're paid. I originally came through Willamette ESD, and the contract is now through, what's the name of the company?
Center for Social Dynamics.
Yeah.
So our ABA are not part of the WSD, and one of the reasons is, so a lot of our kids, when they come into our preschool, they're coming in as 3-year-olds. They have not been identified with anything yet, and so we don't start seeing those behaviors. It's their very first experience in school, so we were having many difficulties with their behavior or learning and just coping in school. And so we didn't really have immediate support that we could count on. In our district, we do have a behavior specialist, but they're busy in elementary, in middle school, high school. And so we didn't really have anybody assigned to preschool. So it made it hard for us to support those teachers and those students because Willamette doesn't provide any services until they actually evaluated. We have to do a referral. They have to be evaluated. After they're evaluated, they have to be, we have to go over the results, whether they qualify or don't qualify for services. And if they do qualify, then we have to write an IFSP. Then they start providing services. That's a whole year. And we don't have a whole year to, we want our kids to be safe. We want our teachers to feel supported, and we want to provide a welcoming environment for those students and those parents. And I know that some of those parents have concerns about their development and their learning. And so we wanted kind of a way to provide immediate support without having to wait a full year for Willamette ESD to, to do a IFSP plan. So this is just, our consultant provides immediate support with all the classroom, not just a specific classroom, but everybody that needs support. And then our staff gets trained and we learn different techniques, including myself. We learn different things, the ABA techniques on how to respond to behavior and how to guide their behavior within our own classrooms, because our classrooms are inclusive classrooms. So that just helps a lot with it.
And, God, I lost my train of thought. You said something, what was I going to say with that? That going to Willamette ESD, sorry. Willamette ESD is, while they're not, it's not through them, they did recommend this company. So when I reached out to them and said, no, we can't. However, here is somebody that you can contract with. So they were vetted through them. And of course, we go through the contracting through the Woodburn School District.
And so I'm curious, with this service that's provided to preschoolers, have you seen a drop or a decrease in with kiddos going into kinder with some sort of plan or evaluation already before kindergarten?
Well, I wouldn't say increase or drop. I mean, it just really depends on the students that we get. But I think the most benefit that we've seen is the immediate support for staff and students there. With, again, the process for students to be identified with anything or provided, be receiving any services, it's very long. It takes almost a full year for us to be able to do that. Sometimes we don't have a full year because if they come in as a 4-year-old, by the time they get evaluated and receive an IFSP, it's almost time for them to transition to kindergarten. It's still helpful because then by that time they're going to have that in place and have that transition with them to kindergarten. But during the whole year, maybe the student didn't receive any services.
And also during the IFSP meetings, that happens right before, it's what, 4 weeks to the transition meetings. Then what we're doing and we're hoping that this is going to set like the pace too, so that there's no surprises going into kindergarten. That's the whole thing. Like these kids are going to go into kindergarten. What can we do to help prepare them or help, prepare even the schools that they're going to welcome the student and make sure that they're able to meet their needs.
So they are transitioning with a pre-plan, right? Is that what
Yes.
you're saying?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
any student that has been identified with anything, whether it's autism, developmental delay, or speech delay, they already have those in early childhood. We call them IFSP, so individualized family service plans. And we do have a transition meeting where that IFSP becomes an IEP when they transition into kindergarten.
Really quick. So do you see a decrease in the behavior? I mean, are you tracking behavioral?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
That's
we do
great.
see a lot of it. And again, also just kind of going back to, again, if teachers are consulting with them, when our consultant provides help, doesn't mean that all children will get on IFSP, because sometimes they might just need a little bit of more time. It might just be maturity, or sometimes it's just learning some self-regulating skills, and that's it. And so, yeah, that is really helpful. And yeah, we do see that. I also monitor all of our referrals to Willamette ESD, so we really talk about this, and I do discuss this with our consultant, whether, what we see and whether this is something, if this is a student that we want to refer or not, and then so we kind of go from there. But we don't have like excessive referrals either. So we monitor each student's growth, and then also depending on the age that they're coming in.
So are you tracking decrease or increases overall behavioral
We track their,
individually?
individually.
As a,
Mhm.
as a congregate?
Not as a
Okay.
congregate, no. All of our students have very different needs, so no, it doesn't really make sense. It's more about individualized, and
Right.
so, yeah.
It would be interesting, just again, that classroom environment for both your teachers and your children, right? I mean, I was an educator, preschool educator. So I was just curious, I do know that you're not alone, that COVID, right? Huge need for interventions, and how do we deal with this? So I know that at the elementary and that there has been some tracking around that. So I don't know if that pertains to you guys or not. But
We were actually open in COVID. I had all my staff in full and we were not close to our staff. So I think we were the only one that were running in the district. In fact, I think I opened up a new classroom during that year as well. But because knowing that our community really needed it.
Yeah.
So that while we still have, other kids, whether they were prior to, 2-year-olds or 1-year-old that could have been impacted, but we try to have the kids at least in the preschool be coming in. But yeah, I can say selfishly that up until last year and this year, oh my gosh, the phone calls that I got, like Sonia, with kids like runners or behavioral or kicking and screaming and all of that, that all principals, can relate to that. I honestly, it's not. Last year and this year, that has been a huge, I noticed that because that really takes up a lot of our time and running over. It's like, oh my gosh. So that, I think that this is really helping. And definitely helping me and giving me a little bit more time to get other things done, but yes. Okay, Woodward School District Preschool accomplishments. You want to go over the highlights and I'll go over the challenges?
Okay. Yeah, well, some of the highlights is just, we have been providing preschool services in our community for the last 10 years. Our program, again, is very balanced between free play and explicit teaching. So we do have that a combination very well, I feel like. We also, this year, we just got a new playground at Heritage Elementary, finally. So our preschoolers have a new playground for them. And then we're also fully enrolled for Preschool Promise and Title 1A. And we are continuing with the Ready for Kindergarten workshop. So this year we went back and started doing the 0 to 3 years old as well. We had over 25 families participate. And right now in progress, I have the 3 to 4 Ready for Kinder workshops in progress. And we have over families who have been attending each of the nights that we have offered them.
So some of the challenges, the cost of the lease at Cipriano, we have 3 more years in contract with them. So after 3 years, we're going to have to see if we're going to renew the lease or what we're doing. There's no transportation that I'm providing right now, no before and after care, and we're at 3 different locations. So we do a lot of juggling. And my staff is great. When somebody is gone, they have saved me from going in. I do love the infant toddler, like, oh my gosh, I could be there all day with the babies and the toddlers. But, that stops me from going and doing the preschools because they work collaboratively together and working and covering with each other and all of that when we are short-staffed.
When you say no transportation, does that mean no transportation like routes in the morning or after school?
Yeah, no transportation or for any of our preschool classrooms. There's many different requirements. So for us to be able to provide transportation, we will need staffing, we will need to have car seats and all of that. And so really we have to, even if we were to provide transportation, even in car or the bus or whatever we would use, we need to keep ratios. So right now for Preschool Promise is 1 to 9, so 1 adult per 9 children. And if they're infants and toddlers, it's 1 to 4. So we would have to have more staff in the cars to have to put it in. So and so we would need more staffing. We would need to have our own buses because of the car seats, and because we wouldn't be able to take them on and off every day. It takes a long time. So.
And quite honest, oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm thinking. Quite honestly, it scares me to death. They're littles. Already when we have kinders and I run summer school, and it's like the last thing that I want to do is lose a child. When these guys are littles like that, I love the idea that, and I think parents do too, honestly. There are some parents, a handful of parents that could use a transportation, but the parents pick up and drop off. Some of them now, before I did 4-year-olds, I think it was like during COVID when they said to me, the budget had passed or the plan, and it was only going to be 4-year-olds, and say, no, I'm sorry, you're going to have to do 3-year-olds. What? I came from the K-12 system, so doing pre and early learning was a whole new world for me. So those littles, they make me a little nervous. So they're little. So there's just, if the community really pushed on transportation, I could figure something out. I could figure anything out. But since they're not right now and it's not a big push, I'm okay, and I think parents are okay with them pick up and drop off and pick up. That's the safest, honestly, the safest route. They're not going with anybody. We make sure that it's the parent. There's that direct contact is, I love that. I can sleep at night better knowing that.
I would also say, even though transportation is a challenge, I think having that communication, the day-to-day basis communication with parents really helps with our attendance too. We're able to communicate with them on a daily basis, see them, often see them. We do have some parents that might drop off and others pick up and stuff, but I think having that relationship also, with the teachers helps build that relationship in the morning during pickup and drop off. So I think that also attributes a lot to our good attendance that we have.
Sorry, that was long.
No, and
Thank you.
speaking to attendance, so we know that, attendance is a concern. But I'm just curious, we have 91% average attendance at preschool. Any thoughts as to what's happening?
I mean, honestly, it's like, we've said, it's that one-on-one, parents have to drop off, parents have to pick up if there's anything. If the kids don't come, I have my secretaries, I have my teachers calling. Like, and it's not like, okay, it's more like, we miss you. When the kids come up, where were you? So it's very, heartwarming and welcoming. Preschool, you have to be, I mean, you have to be a preschool teacher and a kinder teacher. Oh my God, you're special souls. I mean, you have to be a special soul for middle school teacher too. I mean, you're just, so they're loving, and I do have loving. I have some firm ones, but they're loving and they're still like, it's because of course we have all, different personalities, but the one that even my firmest, my most strictest, even they show the loving and caring and telling the kids that they miss them and that they're important to be, they have to be in the classroom and how important they are. I think that is the biggest thing.
Thank you. Any other thoughts or questions? Well, thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you, Imelda.
Next, we have Washington Elementary.
As principal at Washington Elementary, I can attest, that the work that they're doing in preschool is working. Over the last 2 years, the behaviors have been incredible at Washington. So thank you, Sonia. And that's been great. So good evening, board members, Mr. Larios, Ms. Marquez. Thank you for having us, and let us share some highlights of Washington this year. My name is Alfredo Bellinger. I got Tony Ramos, assistant principal, and we'll touch over 3 quick points. We'll make it short and sweet. All right, so I'm gonna 3 times, yeah. We're gonna go over 3 highlights of the 3 school improvement goals that we have at Washington. And as you can see, the first goal is directly aligned to the district, goal on improving literacy. And I'm going to basically talk about the commitment of our Washington staff to improving reading achievement across, our school. As you can see, we have some items in there as reading extended day data-driven decisions, which are some of the things, that are unique to Washington. Our teachers have a commitment to help students who need academic interventions, and they have a stay with them and make sure that kiddos, that are reading below grade level are getting some of that support they need. And everything is done with data cycles. So we are analyzing data and making sure that the groups are being flexible, and we're moving kiddos, as they need it or they're exited from that program. But we also understand that the main problem resides on core instruction. So we have embarked over the last 2 years over a learning on the science of reading and all of their 8 components of the new science of reading. We have done a lot of professional development with Oregon RTI to implement these teaching practices, identified standards of practice that we're trying to align in every classroom. So in the picture, you can see that we have developed a tool for, there's one for administrators for us to give teachers feedback on what they're doing and if those practices are aligned within classrooms, based on what we have already identified as a district. And also this year, I am very excited that we're doing something that we had planned to do prior to the pandemic, and that is doing learning walks. And that is teachers getting into each other's classrooms in the same grade levels and utilizing the feedback tool that you have on the right there and that they're helping each other grow and align those practices, that I mentioned. And from the feedback that we've been getting from teachers, it's going really well. They are actually enjoying the process. We have also partnered with somebody else who has helped our teachers learn how to give each other feedback that is constructive and applicable so they can continue to grow.
Is it on or is it, there you go. I clicked it off when I moved it. Our second goal has to do around attendance. And we have our attendance, as it reads up there, to increase up to 80% of regular attenders for this school year. Currently, we're sitting at 71%, just across this year, about 2/3 of the year, way there. But we have a couple things that we're doing to impact that. We have done individual and class attendance recognitions in previous years, and something we're still continuing to do. We're monitoring this in collaboration with the teachers, and just so kids know where the classroom is sitting. We are doing attendance assemblies, kind of putting attendance on blast, making sure that we are noticing it. We're making it known to the teachers and to kids and to families that attendance matters, and you need to be in school to learn and to receive support. Those are some of the things we do. We've done Q1 attendance assembly where we focused on that 90% or above, which is the definition of chronically absent. So we're celebrating the kids that are there. And then the next quarter, we'll do the 100 days assembly for the kiddos that have perfect attendance for the first 100 days of school. And there's actual, a good little sign there. We started 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Okay. So 3 years ago, we had 16 kids that met that perfect attendance for the 100 days. The following year, it jumped up to 27. And then this year, we jumped up to 47 kids as a school. So we've seen steady increase in attendance, and just because, the kids know about it, they come up and ask, when is the assemblance? When is the assembly? When is the assembly? It's like, well, when we hit 100 days, right? But they're super excited about coming to school and knowing that they're going to get recognized if they put in the effort and show up and are here, at school on time and ready to learn. And everyone gets recognition. It's not just, the first 100 days and boom, you're done. In the third quarter, we also have a most improved assembly. So we monitor attendance again, and then at the second quarter timeline we look at where they are and how their attendance has improved. So we celebrate those kiddos as well, the kiddos that have made an effort to come to school and show up for the last part of the year, third quarter. And then all that work, all that monitoring of data really comes through with our attendance team, which is our counselor, homeschool contact, us as admin. We are monitoring the data, the attendance. We have a tiered system approach where we're focusing on specific kids and responding to them. And it varies, but there's just different ways to work with families. We develop individual plans. We work with families one-on-one. We have a counselor that meets with kids to see, what's stopping them from coming to school, what's preventing them from coming to school. And then also we're communicating home about the importance of showing up and being at school. All this, we've been working with Oregon Data Suite, which is where we get, where we're tracking our data. We're getting our percentages from. So all that data comes from there. And we've been working on a protocol, and we're following a protocol that we've developed to kind of keep everyone in line. So the protocol calls for, phone calls home from teachers, from admin, then letters, and so on and so forth as the year goes on. And as we need to stress the importance of coming to school as well. So, yeah.
As far as frequency of recognition, is it weekly, monthly, quarterly?
For the classroom, it's monthly.
Okay.
So they have it posted up outside their wall, outside their doors, and and the kids will see their attendance percentage there as a class.
I'd like to see weekly. You know, you make it because that's how you get to a month, right? One day at a time. Suggestion.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So on the bottom left there, that's one of our families with 3 daughters in their school, and 2 of those daughters, was it 2 or just the 5th grader?
The 2 daughters on the right. Yeah.
Okay, the 2 daughters on the right, they're a 4th and a 5th grader, and they have a total of 434 days coming to school every single day. 3 years in a row.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and she does have one more daughter in the school, so we're, we're hyping her up to meet those numbers as well.
I have a question about your attendance team. Do you feel like you're adequately staffed? Do you have an adequate attendance team to call parents, to do in-home visits, counselors to figure out why kids are missing schools? Are you adequately staffed to do that?
Yeah, I think at this point, we are. I mean, we can always use more help, don't get us wrong. But right now, we have steadily increased our attendance from year to year. We currently see, I mean, again, I don't want to brag about it, but we have the best attendance, in the district.
I saw that, yeah.
And we have improved that from year to year. So.
Because talking with other principals, that seems to be the common thing that seems to be the most effective, is talking to parents, having those one-on-one meetings and figuring out the root causes of some of the, and it's not the same. It's individual plans for every kid. And I know that takes a lot of time and a lot of work and a lot of staff time. And so I was just wondering about your capacity to handle that.
Well, like Mr. Ramos, mentioned, we have a tier approach to intervention. So depending on where the kiddos will, land, we don't do that level of intervention with every single kiddo, just the ones that need it. So we do several, home visits, and we do phone calls, and that it does take a lot of time. But we are making progress what we have. We can always use more.
Sure.
But we're making it work with what we have.
Yep. Okay. Thanks.
So my question kind of piggybacks on that. You have a home to school contact as well. And we've heard from other principals mention how the home to school contact often has to go physically to the home and follow up, kind of to do a home check to see maybe what the barrier is in reasoning for the student not attending. And like you said, each student has a different reason, but if you were to maybe name the top 2 or 3 reasons why students at Washington are absent, could you name like the top 2 reasons why you hear from parents? Would it be related maybe to transportation or to other issues that may not be particular to other schools? If you were to surmise, maybe what those were when you're interviewing parents about their students being absent from Washington Elementary?
I think I was asked this question last year too, and it really varies from student to student. Like I said, when we are dealing with tier 3 students, we're very individual level. So I think almost every single story is a little bit different. I will say that right now with my tier 3 students, I have chronically absent. There's all kinds of things going on right now. I mean, the political climate, with fears of deportation is something that has, come up. Families with parents, sometimes, that the parents themselves need additional supports, so be able to make sure that the kiddos, come to school. We have some parents that work really late, so they get to see their children. I mean, they have graveyard shifts, jobs, so they stay late with their kiddos, and then the kiddos have a hard time, getting up and going to school the next day. We have some kiddos that are, parents work really early, so they go home, they go to work early, and then the kiddos get in the care of maybe an older sibling, and maybe that older sibling is not as responsible about getting the kiddos, up and early and on the bus, so they can make it to school. So again, it really varies from family to family.
Thank you.
I would like to add just a little bit for the attendance. I feel like we need to give kudos to our parents too, especially for me as an AP. when a parent comes and says, my kid doesn't want to come to school or anything, it's always important to hear them out and talk to the kiddo and see what we can do to help. Whether it be a classroom issue or on the bus issue, any little issue can become a barrier to school. And so we need to make sure that we make it and listen and try to help out as best we can. And, sometimes we can solve those little issues super simply, and sometimes it takes a little more. But if we catch them really early, we'll be able to prevent those kind of numbers or that attendance to drop. And that's what we're there for.
Well, it's a quick video, I think, of our last 100-day assembly, which just happened last Thursday? Yeah, last Thursday. So this is our 47 kiddos that were recognized for having perfect attendance.
You get a shirt too?
Yeah, we make it a big deal. Big deal. I think that's what we're able to make it. Yeah, no. So our last slide is going to be our third goal, which is the participation of families, so family engagement, and we measured this with the Youth Tour survey. So last year, I think our completion rate for the Youth Tour survey was 47%, and we had our site council established a goal of 65% completion for the family survey. So one of the things that I want to quickly touch on is we have a parent engagement committee composed of classroom teachers, and they help plan a lot of events that are cultural and very engaging, like Literacy Night and El Dia de los Muertos, that are very well attended. And I want to give kudos to my whole school contact and my parent involvement specialist. They have this huge responsibility of involving families. We have right now, I think I was checking my list, we have 170 registered volunteers at Washington. We have a substitute teacher who is actually part of our staff, pretty much, who has become our SMART coordinator. And we went from 3 SMART volunteers last year to like 17 right now. So our numbers are, getting very, large very quickly. And the last thing I want to mention here is the work done by our Puente, which is our PTA group, and then our site council. They have been very instrumental in coming up, with events. As you can see there, we have Once Night, I think we have Dia de los Muertos, and I think some more promotions. They are the ones, that we go to get input on how we can make these events, more engaging and more interesting for families. Like I mentioned before, our goal this year was 65% completion. And I'm going to say we didn't get 65 or 80 or 90. We had 100% completion of parent feedback this year. So we are looking into that feedback to make sure that we're making improvements, based on our parents' voice, so that we can continue to improve and be better for our families. And that's our person. I don't know, any questions?
I do have a question. I'm going to go back to attendance. I heard attendance teams. Is that the attendance teams, is that a result of the kind of district level attendance plan?
Well, it is now a district requirement that all schools have an attendance. We have had attendance teams since coming back from the pandemic, since we saw a huge drop on attendance.
Right, but I guess I'm trying to get is with this new plan and maybe how it was modified, has that helped improve attendance this year? Because that was this year that it started. Is that correct?
Sorry, can you ask again?
Right. So I believe under Director Sonia Cole, you can correct me if I'm wrong, right? I remember there was a presentation on attendance at the beginning of the school year, correct? And so it sounds like there is a plan in place for that. So my question to you is, I heard you say attendance teams. So is that under the district-wide?
Yes, there is a
plan?
district attendance team, and Mr. Ramos mentioned that we are implementing a framework of a process, that we follow, where students are either have a 10-day drop or students are chronically absent. So there's a protocol that we're following with multiple steps, and that it comes from the district.
Right. So then my question is, as a result of that, have we seen an increase this year?
An improvement in attendance, I will say yes. We are seeing an improvement in attendance in Washington, yeah.
Thank you.
I think the question was, is the district-wide supporting you? Is that helping?
Well, I am part of the district
Okay.
attendance
Yeah.
team, so.
So,
Well,
so
then it's
this
brilliant.
plan, I'm just want to see, is this plan working? And it sounds like it is what I was
Well,
getting.
for us, I think, throughout the district, our attendance, has been improving. I mean,
Yes.
I was surprised to look at, middle school and high schools, numbers are catching up, to what elementary is. So I think it is working.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
All right. Any other thoughts or questions? All right, hearing none. Thank you.
Thank you. Look forward to
you.
seeing you guys on Thursday.
Yep.
You get rid of things, Tony.
All right, moving on to the integrated plan update. And it's only 7:20.
We'll get the PowerPoint pulled up here momentarily, but tonight we're bringing the board a high-level overview, kind of refresher of what the integrated plan is, the work being done to revise it and bring back later this spring the new integrated plan proposal that we'll be bringing to the board in April. So tonight's kind of a snapshot overview to get our minds wrapped around the different components of the plan that we'll be seeing later this spring. Well, what's up here right now is just the timeline and kind of where we find ourselves right now. We find ourselves kind of in this spring 2025. So we're in the second year of the current plan, but while we're in this second year, we are in the middle of also planning for the next one, which will start this next fall. So that's kind of where we find ourselves. We find ourselves in that kind of apply space. And the integrated plan is, as its name states, an integration of multiple programs there. There are 9 programs that are integrated, and I'll go into what each of those, a little bit of what each of those programs are in some of the subsequent slides. But we have continuous improvement planning, everyday matters, career connected learning, high school success, student investment account, the early indicator intervention systems, early literacy success, the career technical education, and then our targeted and comprehensive supports for schools. So there are 9 programs that are integrated to support, oops, I thought there was some animation here. There are 9 programs that are integrated to support 4 large overarching goals of well-rounded education, equity advancement, engaged community, and strengthening systems and capacity. So we have 4 overarching goals from these 9 different programs that all go into creating one comprehensive plan, one integrated plan. So those different 9 programs, high school success is really targeting the improvement of graduation rates, college and career readiness. This really is targeting the high school and the secondary. We have a student investment account intended to meet and support the social, emotional, behavioral needs of students, increase academic achievement, reduce disparities of different focal groups. The continuous improvement planning, this more is a process of involving the school level, at the district level, our stakeholders, our families, our students, staff. So this happens like in our leadership teams, our site councils, to engage in an improvement planning process. The Perkins grant is targeting supporting the expansion of CTE, providing that programs and trainings for high leverage, high skill, in demand careers. Our early education system, we heard Assistant Principal Ramos talk about this with some of the data suites work that they're using. It's an early indicator intervention system, so it's some of our data support. Everyday matters, a big component here is supporting attendance, our approach to supporting attendance and engaging with students and families to get them here, because every day matters. The early literacy success, really targeting and supporting the early literacy. So our elementary are really engrossed in this work through the RTI work that Mr. Bellinger was discussing and sharing earlier through his Washington report. The connected learning, and then again, the comprehensive targeted support for schools. So those programs and those goals connect back to these really tangible goals for our students, the longitudinal performance growth targets. And this has been a part of what the board has been receiving updates on through the board monitoring plan. There's some specific goals here that are set and established with collaboration from the state for our third grade reading proficiency rates, our ninth grade on track, our regular attenders, our 4-year graduation rates, and our 5-year completion rates. Last year, we met three of those 5 goals, ninth grade on track, attendance, and 4-year graduation rates. They're the goals that for this upcoming year, this school year, and we've been getting reports, receiving those progress on that through the monitoring plan.
I'm sorry, and this 24, 25, those values, where are you getting those from?
This comes from the collaboration with the Department of Education, State of Oregon, with the coming up with those goals, those longitudinal performance growth targets. And so these are set with the Department of Education, looking at where our current data is, where the highest performing schools are performing, in the rate of growth. And so we collaboratively set what's rigorous, but yet attainable.
Got it, okay.
So, sorry, so is 19% the rate of growth, or is 19% of all third graders reading?
That's 19% of all third graders performing at grade level.
And what is it now?
Right now, it was last year's was at 9%. The 2023-24 was at 9%.
Right, but right now, do we have an idea what the percentage is for all third graders?
We had the report at the last monitoring session. I don't have that readily available. We could pull that and provide that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, these are the goals that we've been providing the monitoring plan progress, in addition to other ones. So a little bit about what strategies or activities are happening specific to those 4 large overarching goals of well-rounded education, equity advancement, engaged community, and strengthening systems and capacity. When it comes to well-rounded education, the art and music programs, there's art teachers at each of the elementary schools, training being provided for staff, and that includes examples of of special education, dual language certification, and ESOL endorsement for staff. The seal of biliteracy, which connects back to one of our goals around our biliteracy goals from our strategic plan. The assessments that are utilized, the STAMP assessment, comes through the well-rounded education component here. Math and science materials for classrooms. Graduation, career, college planning. We utilize a program, Naviance, beginning in the middle schools, which supports students through that college career planning process. Career technical education, we have teachers at the high school level and the middle school level that are funded out of the plan. And then the social emotional behavior support. Here's where we provide 6 of our behavior specialists and a social worker as well that come funded through the plan. So for equity advancement, an important piece here is the educational assistance in classrooms. Thinking about that early literacy, how there's 1.5 assistants in each kindergarten classroom, so a half-time assistant in each of our kindergarten classrooms. After school club support for staffing and supplies, the support for early literacy. So there's funding here that is 0.5 of a reading specialist for each elementary school. Support for the middle school transition program. There's a 9th grade success coach that is funded out of the plan. support for at-risk students to complete high school. This comes through expanded options and partnerships with Chemeketa for students who needed a little extra support to complete high school. And then there's allocations for each school to have here to do part of their school improvement planning, where they're looking at specifically what their school goals are and working with their leadership team and their site councils to develop strategies to meet their school goals. The engaged community, each school also has a goal for parent involvement. And so there's funding here that's dedicated for the allocation at each building level to work towards their parent involvement plan. The parent involvement specialists, I heard Mr. Bellinger speak a little bit about they're working with them at Washington. There's 1.5 parent involvement specialists funded from the plan. We have homeschool contacts that come from an integrated plan specifically to support newcomer students. So there's one at the middle school at Valor Middle School and one at the high school that are specific to supporting newcomers coming from the plan. The work around Everyday Matters with our attendance work, partnerships with our community, partnerships with our universities, some of that AVID work around getting that students to thinking about college and college beyond high school. It comes out of here as well, supported through here. And then partnership with the career technical education. We've heard about the Willamette Career Academy and the spots there that our students take. We have about 80 students at the high school who take courses at the Willamette Career Academy, and they're funded, the spots are paid for out of the integrated plan. The work towards strengthening capacity, that data system, the Oregon Data Suite, is what continues to be developed, and a warehouse for all our data. We wanted to have one space for us to be able to analyze our data from. So the Oregon Data Suite is an integral part of this. Support for our college, for our high school career technical education. So there's a program secretary that supports at the high school level specific to high school career technical education. And then opportunities for our staff to learn. We've had the November conference this past 2 years, and it's been funded from this plan, which is really a time for differentiated PD provided by a staff or staff. So those have been some of the high leverage strategies from this past 2 years plan, but we're in the process now of revising the plan. And so we have been collecting feedback from staff and from families. Presentations have been done at each school site, and we have this website that was developed with videos explaining what the plan is and the different parts of it, what's being done in English, Spanish, and Russian. If the board hasn't had an opportunity to provide input, it would be really valuable to hear from the board as well. The QR code is there on the screen, so I invite anybody who might be watching the board meeting tonight or the board themselves to take some time to continue to provide some feedback on what is valuable, what to each of you, to our community, and also invite our staff, because that'll be part of the process in applying for the next integrated plan and revising what we have in place. So in addition to staff and family feedback, student feedback is an important part of there too. I don't think we had it there, but on that slide, but there's focus groups happening and student feedback being gathered as well for what's been successful for from the student's perspective and work for them. Sorry, go ahead, Rosie. Yeah.
Isn't this feedback survey on the website as well as the newsletters from the middle school and high schools currently and previously?
Yes, this has gone out multiple times to families. It's the same one. That's what's on the website. So you may have already completed it, but it's there and it's still there on the website. Opportunity for people who haven't completed it to give us some feedback. So the feedback part is important, but then we're looking at our needs assessment, and through our needs assessment process, we have some specific areas to complete for the early literacy program review. So working with our early literacy educators, the process where we're reflecting upon the implementation of that early literacy framework, again, that Mr. Bellinger touched upon a little bit with his report, and reflecting upon our progress towards achieving or implementing that framework. And then our data, our student data is driving a lot of this through our needs assessment. And our disaggregated student data is important as we look down and drill down into focal groups and how are different focal groups of students performing relative to everyone else. Are there discrepancies in our data where one group of students or one focal group of students may not be performing as strong as another focal group? So we're working with our administrators to get into that data and analyze that through our needs assessment process. Because then we're going to put it all together, the feedback from the community, the assessment data review, the feedback from, or working with our administrators to revise the new plan that we would be bringing forward then to the board at the April board meeting, and have one more comprehensive integrated plan for the next 2 years.
So with this plan, it's connected to funding dollars?
Yes, there's about $7.9 million that is connected through the plan. The 3 programs at the top are embedded plans, and they don't have like direct funding streams. The bottom 6 do have dedicated funding streams that are associated with them. So the plan itself is about $7.9 million.
And is that through the state only?
The
7.9, is that state funding?
the state funding.
So when you, excuse me, when you come back to present in April, will you show the difference of what it has been and what it's going to be?
Yeah, we could highlight the differences between the previous plan and the new iteration.
Will it also have like, as Naomi mentioned earlier, well, where are we at now versus where we were last year? Will that be provided, or is that going to be at a later date?
The student data,
Yeah.
we'll provide that at the next monitoring session. I think it's scheduled for June.
For June.
Yeah, so we'll be coming back with more information on the new plan in April.
Any additional questions? Thank you, Superintendent Larios.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on, we have operations report from the business office.
Good evening, School Board, Superintendent Larios. It's great to see you guys this evening. I'm Sarah Bishop. For those who I have not met yet, I'm the Director of Business. What you have in front of you is your typical financial report that you get in your board packet monthly. This one is through the end of January. And I just have to say, I'm super pumped for you guys to do your debrief later about your school finance webinar. If there's anything I'm excited about, it's school finance. So I'm excited to hear about that and any questions you guys have coming from that and what sort of additional information you guys might want going forward. So anyway, sorry, back to the task at hand. You have your typical financial report in front of you. Again, we're where we're at normally this time of year. There's nothing terribly exciting happening in our general fund. But I did want to provide an update when you're ready about federal funding and what we're hearing coming from the federal government.
Is that now?
Whenever you're ready. If you guys have questions on this first,
Oh.
we can do that and then move over.
Any questions on the?
I'd rather hear the news first.
Okay.
Oh, did you have a question?
She might be ready.
Right. Yeah, ready? Okay.
We're ready.
Okay. So thankfully, it's very good news. So what we're hearing from most of the attorneys at the federal level is that there's going to be no to little impact on federal funding for schools for the next school year. Due to how they obligate funds at the federal level, there's really no changes that can be made for the upcoming school year to federal funding. If we do see changes, it will come in subsequent years. However, due to how the federal government is set up at the House of Representatives and the Senate, it would take some pretty significant bipartisan support to completely upend school finance. We've heard rumors of the Department of Education going away, but the Department of Education is actually written into federal statute. So again, it would take some pretty significant bipartisan support for that to go away. Even if there was an order for them to disband, like we're seeing with USAID, there will be some court cases and legal challenges against that as well. We've also heard about, we talked about in the last meeting about the OMB pausing all federal payments. There were several parties issued temporary restraining orders against that. We shouldn't see anything like that happen again. So good news overall in the land of school finance. So thankfully, we do still expect to see a decrease in our Title I funding because we have every year because our student demographics are changing. So that's not a result of legislation at the federal level. That's a result of demographics changing, just so you're aware.
Tell me about that.
So our Title I funding is based upon our poverty rates within our specific community. So overall, our poverty rates are decreasing in Woodburn, so that impacts directly our Title I funding. So in the past 4 years, we've lost probably over $1 million in Title I funding. So
What
while
percentage has changed? What, do you know approximate percentages?
I'd have to go back and pull that
Just the
specifically.
poverty, that's. what-
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So that being said, what we could see going into the next biennium that might impact us is federal funding throughout different agencies throughout the state. So obviously, we're waiting for our state school fund amount. We're going into the first year of the new biennium next year. The Oregon State Legislature hasn't absolved an amount yet that schools are going to get. We just have the governor's estimate. If federal funding changes, again, we shouldn't see anything for next year because of how the federal government budgets their funds. But if there's any changes that impact overall state funding and other programs, the state of Oregon could choose to pull money out of state school funding to fund other areas. Again, I've never seen the state change the state school fund allocation after it's been adopted in my entire career. So I would be shocked if we did see a change in this biennium to reflect any federal government changes.
Do you have any concerns about any of the wording that we have in our district? The wording that we used to have to get funding, which now puts a target on our back.
I'm not sure what you mean.
So I'm acquainted with educational funds and how, like this week, wording is being changed. Basically, what's going on, as I understand it, is we have people at the federal level putting in a word search. And anything that comes up using that particular word is, I don't know if it's in danger yet, but it has a target on its back.
So again, because all of our funding, we don't get any direct funds from the federal government, just so you're aware. It is all passed through the state of Oregon. So nothing comes directly to us from the federal government. So any changes that would be made would first affect the state and then pass down through us. But again, because of their budget cycle, any changes
Right.
that they're legally allowed to make can't occur until their next budget cycle, which would be in our 26-27 school year.
So you know how you're still getting state funding per your summarized? When are you going to get the rest of it, since you already got the majority, like you still have 59% that you've received?
It comes in over the months.
Okay, so you don't know if you're going to get it by the end of the year?
Oh, we will. Yes. Yes, it's all paid out by the end of the year.
So I heard you say for this coming school year, we shouldn't expect to see changes.
We should not to see any
However,
federal.
after that, we don't know.
We still don't know. Correct. Correct.
So if there's any impacts, it wouldn't happen until the year 2027?
It would not impact the 25-26 upcoming school year. It most likely would not impact the 26-27 school year, as our state school fund will have already be set. Federal funding also will have already come out at that point due to the spanning fiscal years. So our fiscal year is 7/1 through 6/30. The federal government is 10/1 through 9/30. So the fiscal years are different. So we theoretically should not see an impact in the next 2 school years.
So I've been doing a little bit more reading. And so I know there's some states that have been impacted. And so, but I'm hearing you say that we are likely not to be impacted.
Correct.
Can you speak to that?
I haven't heard of any states being
So
impacted
I
presently.
think the state of Maine recently is under like investigation. I don't know why
For what?
or what, but it's their ODE, like Department of Education.
Okay.
I know, I think I read like a university in the East Coast lost like $3.4 million in federal funding. And in Minnesota, I don't recall, but I just did a quick Google search, and I mean, I don't know how accurate that is, but
Department
I'm
of
just-
Higher Ed is a little different than K-12
Right.
education overall.
right, but in the state
Mhm.
of Maine, it's both higher ed as
And
well as
K-12.
public education.
There is also a possibility that they're receiving funding directly from the federal government, which we are not. Our school
Okay.
district is not receiving direct funding. Of course, every state agency, just like we go through our audit every year, will also go through audits by the federal government of their different programs. So that might be some of what you're reading, but I can look into this as well and see what's coming up.
I'm particularly concerned for minority populations. And I know that federal grants are being changed in the wording. We're still serving our people. We're just having to tweak words.
We are not tweaking anything. We're
Okay.
operating under our current grant agreements that we have in place.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, the grant agreements that we have in place with the Oregon Department of Education is what we have to adhere to. They interpret the federal level law. We would be out of compliance with them if we did not adhere to those agreements.
From maybe a previous conversation, you said if there were to be impacts, it would be to our lunch program, that were where we would feel it the most?
The lunch program, yes, is the
Yeah.
most impactful because that's through the USDA.
Got it.
It's not run through the US Department of Ed.
And so our kids are guaranteed a free lunch at least for a couple more years?
Yes,
Yeah.
the school lunch program generally has really broad support against both parties, so
Sure,
I would honestly be surprised if anything changed there.
that's great, thank you.
Our state is also incredibly supportive of that program as well, so.
And with Sarah here, I want to clarify something that may have said with the integrated plan, there, while it's all from the state, there are a couple of them that do originate from the federal government, like the Perkins power part, and so is some of the TSI, CSI funds as well.
Correct. That's from the federal government.
But that won't be impacted,
No, not in the coming school year.
not in the coming school year.
Yeah. Again, it's still open for discussion after the next biennium. So I will still warn, we don't have a solid estimate from the state yet, what our state school fund is going to look like next year. I have a feeling they're going to slow play it. They'll put out their estimate in April like they have to. They're required by law to, but I don't think they'll have an agreed upon amount until much later. So everything we're doing right now is based upon our best guess of what's happening at the state level. We're using presently we're using the governor's estimate. That's the only one we've seen to run our budget. Yeah, obviously, as more information comes out, we'll continue to update those numbers, but it's our best guess at this point for next year for state school fund.
And certainly if you got some sort of news flash or new information, you would come back and let us know as
Oh,
soon as you heard
absolutely.
anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
percolating in my mind, but I'm okay for now. I think it sounds like, I'll repeat again, we're okay for this next school year.
Yes, we're looking just fine for this coming school year. Even our early projections in the general fund have us looking pretty good. We did a lot of work last year to kind of right-size the district, have staffing reflective of current student enrollment. So even our general fund is looking pretty good. Presently, I don't have a lot of concerns going into next year. Again, negotiations could, with our associations, could change the entire landscape. But using some conservative advancements, we're looking really good. We went into this year pretty healthy. Our beginning fund balance came in higher than we anticipated, so that's great. And that'll help us also going into the following year as well.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Bishop.
Okay, moving on to our confirmation items. The confirmation items are presented as follows. We have meeting minutes of January 14, 2025, special board meeting, January 28, 2025, regular board meeting, personnel, surplus property disposal report, acceptance of gifts, donations, funding proposals and applications, including the MAPS school supply grant. If there are no questions, are there any questions on the confirmation items?
So on the MAPS grant, do you have any feedback on how many teachers did receive it, or is it actually the 40? Is that in our district or is that just overall?
That's not just our district, that's overall. I don't recall how many educators received it in Woodburn last year, but it's been a really beneficial program. And we've had a number of educators who have received the grant over the years.
Other questions?
When somebody makes a $250 donation for performance, where does that go? As a gift?
What does performance mean?
Oh, yeah, what's the mariachi? If you look at the bottom of this.
Mariachi band, okay. And is that for uniforms or instruments or just the general? What's that stand for? Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that would just go into the mariachi
Mariachi
band
account.
account.
Performing arts.
Great, thanks.
I was more curious.
Other questions? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adopt the confirmation items as presented.
I so move.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Thank you. All in favor of adopting the confirmation items as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0 vote. Moving on to board action items. We're going to review old business. We have the second reading of the 2025, 2026, and 2026, 2027 school calendars.
And so I'll invite up our association presidents who are joining us this evening, Debbie Ballweber and Tony Salm. Again, I appreciate your collaboration as we work through the drafts of this calendar. What's in the board's packet tonight are the reflected changes that came from the conversation last at the first reading. We had some questions and some requests to change some of the dates to take into consideration the Russian Old Believer holidays. So that's what you see in your packet, the changes there. And then what you have in front of you as well is the original calendar that was proposed at the first reading. I am recommending that the board adopt the first calendar that was presented at the first reading. And I shared this with the board, making the adjustments to the calendar based on religious holidays of one particular group does open the board up to some risk. We don't have reflected holidays of other groups or cultures in the calendar. So I just wanted the board to be mindful of that. The two drafts of the calendars are there for the board for consideration, and we could respond to some questions if you have any.
Okay, so just to clarify, the calendar in the packet is the original, or the one outside the packet is the original?
The loose one is the original from the first
The
reading.
First reading.
The one
Okay,
in the
just like-
packet has some changes that were made to
Okay,
some of the
okay.
days.
Thank you.
So one of the changes is, I believe, the first week of April for the Russian Easter holiday, and then early January for the Russian Christmas.
I'm sorry, could you speak up just a
Yeah,
little?
so the two changes, if you're trying to figure out what those are, from what I noticed, those are the only two changes.
Yeah, you see them noted at the bottom of the
Oh.
calendar. There's some notes there, added one day to the Christmas break, January 5th to the winter break there, and moved the January workday to the 6th. I'm like, oh, I need glasses. The 6th, maybe 6th and 7th. To take into consideration for the Russian Christmas.
Any questions?
I don't have any questions, even though my concern was addressed, and I appreciate that. I appreciate the feedback from Rebecca. And
Other thoughts on the calendar?
And so were the adjustments also made for the 26-27 calendar as well?
The 26-27 calendar had very little room for adjustments. We try to minimize partial weeks. Partial weeks are just weeks where we know we have had lower attendance for students. So we had very little adjustment. I don't think there was any adjustments to the 26-27 calendar.
And Superintendent, in your opinion, would adjusting professional development days on Russian holidays, would that then not allow our Russian teachers to have professional development?
they can still participate.
There's a
Okay.
leave process for staff who are requesting to take time off for religious days. So if they do take the day off, they wouldn't participate in the professional development.
Okay.
there are no questions, are we ready?
I would have to agree with Superintendent Larios and the concern with singling out one culture or religious group on a district school calendar. Even with a large Hispanic culture, there are numerous holidays that are celebrated that are not even noted on our school calendar, like December 12th. We're not taking into consideration that day, which is a very serious holiday to many families. And we're not noting that on our calendar, which to many families.
Yeah,
looks
please,
like
if you guys
they
don't have anything to add in.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, it's on. I will say that I did receive comments from, actually from a success student, because I was talking about, like, I know there are like holidays that are observed by other cultures, and and so I was trying to figure out like those that Hispanics would observe. And I said, but nobody can seem to tell me what they are. And he goes, well, I can tell you what they are. And so I'm like, okay, tell me. And so he did say December 12th, and for some, the 13th.
Right.
And also in September, the Independence Day. And then I had some people that observed, Jewish holidays saying they would like to have Hanukkah off. And we do have a lot of other holidays. So we've had some Kwanzaa, and we've, so we have, an Asian population. So that is like, that is a concern that people had. Like, if you do that, like, are you going to recognize my religious holidays too? So.
I have a question. I'm wondering if there's a way to honor and accommodate without the entire district impacting our days of school. Just to be sensitive to that, excused absences shouldn't be a problem. And I'm wondering if there's just with curriculum, somehow with teachers, and I don't want to add to the teacher load, but just, were we getting it done?
The kids are
We-
still responsible to get it done in time, and
Well,
if
but
they
that's
request
what
it,
we
they get
can.
the additional.
And the absences
So-
are excused.
Right,
religious
but,
holidays
but
are.
as a teacher, I know that that, yes, they have to get it done, but again, it's how we assign it, right? And that there is ways that, for instance, knowing that somebody's been up since 5 a.m. all day long, and then they're coming to school, that would be taken into consideration. And that due dates and all of those things would reflect that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think that's an excellent point, and we value and appreciate all of our students and all of our cultures, and want to create an inclusive environment for everyone. And so our teachers do work with students who are gone, and we'll do a prearranged process where you could request to work in advance. Our teachers are willing to work with students and to make accommodations and provide work in advance if requested in advance.
And I will say, when we have shorter weeks, like when we get down to 1 or 2 days, because we've had Thanksgiving week, we've had Christmas where we did midweek, our attendance for every student is impacted by going down to like a 2-day week. Because I do the data for that. So I can speak to that. So yeah, it is. And we've done like during calendar times, historically, we've kind of looked at that as well. That's why we try not to do a midweek Christmas break to a midweek, because we lose them on both ends of it.
So Superintendent Larios, what is your recommendation?
To adopt the calendar that was presented at first reading, which is your loose,
Oh, the other one.
the loose one.
The first reading.
Yeah,
For like logistics, can we call that version 1?
version 1.
Version 1 of 25, 26, and 26, 27, and then what's in your packet
would be version 2.
Well, I appreciate for allowing us to address the many cultures in our community. And I make a motion to stay with the first draft or first reading calendars for the next 2 years.
Is there a second?
A second.
All in favor of adopting the Woburn School District 2025, 2026, and the 2026, 2027 school calendar as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0 vote.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Debbie. Appreciate you guys' work and collaboration on this.
Okay, moving on, we have the policy update for a second reading.
So in your packet, you see some pretty straightforward policies here that come from House Bill 4160, which is was actually in effect July of 24. So this is actually, just changing to reflect current law, and it's changing the definition of a student. Again, it's to a student now is somebody who, after the graduating for 1 year. So it extends the period for which a student is qualified as student. So these are really straightforward policies, just really putting us in compliance with the law, which is already in place.
Any questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Want the whole thing said, or can I just say I still move?
Policy updates that presented.
So I make the motion that we accept policy updates as presented. You want me to read GBNAA / JHFF and JHFF / GBNAA.
I second that.
All in favor of adopting the second reading for GB and AA / JHFF, suspected sexual conduct with students and reporting requirements, as well as policy JHFF / GBNAA, suspected sexual conduct with students and reporting requirements, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0 vote. New business. Appointing budget committee for position 1.
Good evening, board. So back in July, you declared your budget committee position 1 vacant. The previous person that served fulfilled their 3 years and did not want to continue. You opened up for applications back in November, and it closed in January. Sorry, I'm pulling up the timeline here. So January of 2025. So that was the period that you were going to accept applications to fulfill this vacancy. Unfortunately, we did not receive any applications. And so we decided to reach out to one person, a previous person that has applied to be a board member, excuse me. And that's Devin Freeland. And so tonight we're here to ask you to please appoint him to Budget Committee Position 1. And I sent you his application. You've interviewed him. So that is our recommendation for, we really hope that you will fill it. He would fill a 3-year term, and then you would have a full budget committee going into budget season.
So I move to appoint Devin Freeland to the Budget Committee member, position 1, for a 3-year term that will expire June 30th, 2027.
there a second?
I second that motion.
Okay. All in favor to appoint Devin Freeland to Budget Committee Member Position 1 for a 3-year term to expire June 30th, 2027, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries 5-0 vote. Welcome, Devin Freeland, and thank you for being so patient this evening. Okay. Moving on to the next item, resolution number 25-000, classified appreciation proclamation.
Well, we have a special week coming up. I wish Debbie were still here. Did she walk out now? Classified Appreciation Week is around the corner, March 3rd through March 7th. And so in the packet tonight is a resolution declaring March 3rd through the 7th as Classified Appreciation Week and inviting the community to get behind this effort to recognize and appreciate some of the awesome members of our school community. We'll be visiting schools on the 7th to drop off some items of recognition. And so we invite the board, if you're available, to join us. And I think we're scheduling 9:30 time on Friday to join us and as we visit schools and drop off some of our just tokens of appreciation items that, letting our staff know how much we appreciate them.
On March 7th at 9:30.
Mhm.
That's next Friday.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to show appreciation to anybody specific, do we reach out to you two or?
Just do it directly.
Mhm. But you can meet us here at Friday at 9:30 and we'll organize and kind of split up and go to schools,
Meet
drop
here.
off some items.
Okay.
Next Friday,
Next Friday.
the 7th.
Okay. And we're voting on this, right? We're voting on this? Okay. So, is there a motion to adopt the Classified Appreciation Week resolution?
Oh, I so move. I make the motion.
Is there a second?
I didn't know we need.
A second.
There you go. Okay. All in favor of adopting resolution number 25-000, Classified Appreciation Proclamation, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 5-0 vote. Okay. Next item under new business is readopt the budget calendar. If you flip the page, you'll see the highlighted area. And Superintendent Larios, would you like to share a little bit about what the change is?
Yeah, we're
Or-
also inviting up Director Bishop to highlight, what's highlighted in your packet there are the changes to the calendar. We're bringing forward the recommendation of these changes so that we could really take some time to hear the listening session and be able to tailor the reports that the committee is asking for and be able to bring the information forward. So by adding in an additional budget session, we're able to provide that for the board and for the entire committee.
Correct. We're really hoping to use that April 1st date as kind of an intro to budget session and to be able to listen to everyone's questions, concerns, so that way we have time to address and adapt to those for that first May 6th meeting. And that any presentations you want to see, people have plenty of time to prepare for them ahead of time. We are also wanting, we had a second meeting in May as the second budget committee meeting if needed. We wanted to push that to June as I'm not super confident in the state of Oregon legislature to have their budget adopted yet. So that way, if any changes needed to be made, it gives us a little more flexibility in that date.
So no meeting on May 6th.
We'll still have that
Oh,
May
we still have
6th
that
as the first meeting. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Get the ball rolling. So we'll have between April and May to make any adjustments before the budget comes out.
I'm sorry, and with the addition of Mr. Freeland, we have a full budget committee? Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any questions If seeing none, we can entertain a motion.
So I move to adopt the budget calendar for the 25-26 budget.
I second it.
All in favor of readopting the budget calendar for 2025-2026 budget, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0 vote. Item 4 under new business resolution number. There is no number. It's reaffirming safe and welcoming schools for all. Oh, is there?
25-001.
Oh, 25-001. Would you like to speak to this, Superintendent Larios?
Yeah, so in your packet, there's a resolution here, and I think this is a really powerful statement that the board could make to again support and reiterate where the stance are in supporting all of our students, documented or not. We know that this is a valuable message for all of our community to hear, from staff to families to students, to continue to hear these messages from their leaders. They've heard it from different vehicles from the district, from my office, from their administrators, and for us all to be sharing that same message as the leaders of the Woodburn School District, I think is a valuable opportunity and a message to share. So what you see in your packet tonight is a statement for the board, a resolution that was drafted based on some of the messages that the district has already communicated out. But it's an opportunity for us all to be able to get behind one singular message of support for all of our students.
In reading through this, there's some language I'm wondering, after listening to the comments, we're saying supporting. I'm wondering if we could add protecting somewhere along this, because that's what I'm hearing that people are needing reassurance and clarification about that. It doesn't really, what steps, it does say we don't collect immigration status. Is there anything else that we're doing as a district that, what I'm seeing here is a do no harm policy, but are we doing anything proactively that we can share with our families so that they have more confidence and sense of safety?
Well, I think either the last meeting or the meeting before that, Superintendent Larios provided an update on what schools are doing.
Okay,
And so that falls under operation and falls under the superintendent's responsibility.
okay. So,
I could
not to
share
be
some-
redundant here, but from tonight, what we're hearing is that that needs to be an ongoing drum as to what we're doing to protect kids.
Yeah, sometimes we have to say things,
Well, sure.
over and over for people to
Right,
hear it.
absolutely.
And, especially when your effective filter is up, it's sometimes hard to hear and process that information.
Well, language,
And we have the information that's available in English, Spanish, and Russian on the website, where we're continuing to add resources, and more will be coming to kind of continue to provide that reassurance to our families and point them towards other resources that are available to them.
I'm asking for clarification, would it be appropriate, I mean, can we have flyers on laundromats? Because this is, with the community, word of mouth, I just think I'm hearing a sense of urgency. And every day, we're hearing so many alarming things that some may not find alarming, but many people do. What I'm hearing is some people are in crisis around this. And there's a lot of fear and uncertainty. And I'm just wondering what we can do to ameliorate that and support you and just the brainstorming about outside of the box. We're not into usual right now. We can't say that usual is happening. We're on kind of a new, I don't know, journey, a new reality. And
I don't think it's a new reality, immigration for families who.
right, thank you.
It's it's like a lifestyle. It's part of their everyday decision making.
Right.
So this isn't new, I don't think.
Okay.
And so there are many of our families
Yeah.
who, this is a concern.
Yeah.
For sure. So I do hear what you're saying. In reading this, my question is, as a board, it's our role to make sure that our students are provided a high quality education. And is that happening?
Mm-hmm.
The operational piece, that falls under the superintendent's office.
Yeah.
And it sounds like, from my understanding, that is happening. So it sounds like, I don't know if an update on that is something that is being asked of. So when I look at this, I have questions. I don't know if others have questions.
And you too.
I wonder if it's enough.
Mhm.
I wonder if it's just words on a piece of paper, and how can we bring action to this? What are some concrete things that we could do rather than just read some things? Is that enough? And I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. So that's what's going through my mind. What are some things beyond just adopting a resolution?
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, I don't know what a resolution is actually going to do for anything. To me, I don't know. Yeah, maybe it sends a message, but I don't know how many of our parents are watching this right now,
Mhm.
if any. And so what are we going to do to get this message out? What are we going to do tomorrow and the day after that? I guess is my question right now. And I don't have answers. I'm just,
So, but I'm hearing you, like, what is the direct impact?
yeah.
Mhm.
See, and for me, I want to be cautious as a board that any language in here
Mhm.
is something that we are really going to do and that really we can do.
Right.
Because I don't want to use any language that we're not going to back up.
Yeah.
So don't be making a student a promise or a family
A false sense of security that,
don't use any words that you're not gonna back up. And I mean, in reading this, I feel pretty strongly that this is, that we can do that. But, when I'm hearing public comment, I'm feeling like that's just the first piece. This is just, the resolution is just kind of the first thing.
Sure.
This is really, the community needs the next
Right.
step.
Well-
There needs to be, the community is calling for more.
Yes.
Okay, aren't we already trying to make our campus as safe as possible with our security officers? And then overall as a community, this is focused on the school district. But if the students step outside of the school district, that's already the state law, and there's already different resolutions and rules that the state has to follow. So yeah, we want to protect them on our campuses, but the moment they leave our campus, they are outside the boundaries. When they're outside the protected, even if like this resolution states one thing,
Mm-hmm.
but that's already a complete whole ballgame. There's a whole open different, that's the state and the federal, the students. And it already, regardless of any situation in the community, we have our lockdowns to secure our students. Don't we already have protocol to protect our students for any events? Because we want them to feel safe on our campuses from day to day. So as I say, we want them every day is an impact. We are, like the presentations today from the kindergartners, the preschoolers, Washington, which are doing an amazing job. We're already engaging with our students. So, like you say, this is just one paper. So what are the protocols? Because there's already protocols in place to secure or keep our children safe, our students.
This is something
Yeah, this-
bigger. So this is something like if there's a basketball game going on at a school and ICE rolls up in a truck
Mm-hmm.
and they start taking students and start putting them in the back of the truck, what does what happens?
Well, there's a law for that. There is a process
wouldn't
for that.
be allowed
But
to
then
do
what
that.
is the
That can't
position?
happen.
Right.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
can't.
but no, people will say that,
Mhm,
and you can say that, but as a parent
mhm.
who has a child in the school, the fear is there. And so when a parent reads this, it can take away the fear. It can bring it down to a more reasonable level.
Correct. The problem with this is, I'm accustomed to pretty heavy, and I've had to like, this is wordy, it's not user-friendly as far as a family to read this. I mean, it says nice things, but again, it doesn't really leave me with a sense. And so again, I think just that in this particular state, you not only have our district, but we have, the law ones. But this is the deal. People are hearing in the news, people showing up at high schools, not in our state, but other states. They're showing up at churches, right? They're threatening to do it, and they have. There's a few, not a lot, right? But it only takes one to be pretty terrorizing for our families. And again, I just think reassurance and that word out of what we are doing, and that just we're not other places, thank God, for right now. I don't know. And I think you're right about saying, off campus, we don't have anything, and that transportation to and from school might be frightening to some people. And I don't have an answer to that other than the school bus.
I think one of my concerns that comes up is, well, one, if we're saying that our schools are safe and welcoming, they should always be safe and welcoming,
Mhm.
with or without, regardless of what's happening
Exactly.
outside of our buildings. And then I think about funding. I think I got some reassurance today on that, but
Yeah.
that's just for this next year. But my question is, would this impact funding at all?
Right.
And that is my concern.
Mhm.
And when I asked those presenting on preschool, that is federal funding.
Yep.
And so how can we support and advocate for all of our students so that they all receive what is needed with the resources that come from?
Well, and that we're not putting an unnecessary target on our backs.
Right.
Mhm.
So if there are concerns in the community, are there other ways to address those?
Yeah.
And if so, what is the best way to do that?
I think an examination of the language we use is, it may not be, quote, necessary, but it's proactive. I think that, and then just making sure that this is a nice thing that we're putting out to go into the files as to, we've documented it. But as far as really communicating with the community, the as is not user friendly, is all I'm saying. For the families.
And so I'm thinking, what does our community need? I mean, resources,
Mhm.
right? A contact.
Mhm.
And it sounds like
Okay.
from the last update, that is what our school district is doing. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have the website when we're continuing to gather resources. We have a family resource guide that some of our staff have been trained on supporting families with completing it. So those are going to be rolling out pretty soon. We have resources and videos that we're done with some attorneys that will be making public as well and sharing in multiple languages for families to be able to have some more information available directly from some legal attorneys. We do have protocols in place in our buildings to protect students. And so we are messaging that to staff, and there's parts of it that are being messaged to students through the advisory lessons at the secondary level. So there are things that are happening to protect our kids. This is just an opportunity for us to all get behind a singular message and say, here's where we position ourselves as a school district. And so that's what the resolution's intent is. Are there other things that could continue to be done? most certainly, but that's the intent of the resolution.
And a resolution could be amended and added to.
This is the board's resolution, so the board could wordsmith it if the board would like. This resolution was reviewed by legal, and it is in compliance with law. If that's a concern that might be in some people's minds, everything here is in compliance with law. But it is the board's resolution.
I don't know if I'm supposed to move it or if I would encourage that we have opportunity to potentially edit and discuss it at our next meeting.
What are your thoughts? I agree.
I mean-
Because why?
I think for the same reasons I've expressed, and Ryan, we don't have to change a thing, but it potentially, there might be opportunity here to communicate in a manner that better meets our family's needs for reassurance and clarity. Without overstepping and without jeopardizing the legal statutes that this is based upon.
Jeopardizing them.
Well, the legal has reviewed this and we've got their thumb up, like this is good. And what I'm wondering is if there could be a little wordsmithing without changing any of the statutorily appropriate stances that is in here.
I'm just wondering if there's something that jumps out that you're uncomfortable with.
I don't see, I wouldn't say uncomfortable. I'm feeling it's inadequate. Where we're saying supporting, we are creating, we are protecting our inclusive school environments. Supporting just doesn't seem strong enough word to me. That's the one that jumps out at me.
Yeah, so I guess some of my thoughts on this, when this was brought up, at first I was, well, hasn't the school district already issued lots of statements, lots of handouts, lots of videos, lots of but then it was brought to me, actually, the board needs to lead. It should have been the board doing this first and guiding the district on how to roll this out, but instead we've kind of gone the cart before the horse before the cart here. And actually, us as a board, we should have been out ahead of this, way before this now. We should have had this resolution out before our school district started putting this information out. We should have been the leaders here. And now, kind of us as a board, we're kind of trying to play catch up here. And I guess that's how I'm seeing it. At first, I was kind of against it. I was like, we've already done this. We've already put out this information. But we as a board, we haven't. The school district, Juan has, but we as a board, we haven't done anything. And
Well,
so,
we have in our meetings, it's been discussed, but maybe not publicly as a.
Correct.
As a board.
and so that's why I think this is incredibly important.
Well, I think it had to come operational through the superintendent, through his staff to give directives through, through HR, through, no matter who comes into the high school office, you do not, let anyone in, unless they have a warrant, this is the protocol, you call safety, you call Woodburn PD, these are the proper channels. That's the kind of information that was disseminated. Let me give you an example of a situation that was brought to me by a teenager.
Okay.
They showed me a photo on social media of a truck on the I-5 coming this way, and it said, "Look out, ICE is on their way to Woodburn." And it was running through town, and the truck looked kind of like a SWAT truck, wasn't exactly sure. And the kids here in town were freaked out.
Sure.
And, and that's kind of what I thought when I read this. I thought, if those kids could get peace of mind,
Yeah.
not knowing if that is a nice truck coming into Woodburn with, a Cavalier driving with trucks, and if this school board, we, the people who represent these students and are called to keep these kids safe, could give them this peace of mind by resolution that says, yes, we are
Yeah.
in full agreement,
Yeah.
Right.
then I am for it 100%.
Oh, absolutely.
But I guess how is our message reaching that kid?
Well, then I would say probably that this would go out like everything else does in the school through Remind. It goes out through their advisory class. It goes out again to their parents, just like all the information does. Everything that they get is disseminated. I mean, multiple ways. It goes out on the website. And I was even going to ask, could it even drop down and you could choose your language if one of the languages isn't in Russian or English or Spanish? Can they even pick their language and it would translate it, obviously, to whatever language they need so that it would, be able to be read. But I mean, I think about, when that picture was shown of that truck on I-5, and it was probably, just something made up to stir up somebody because that's how it works. But I mean, what kind of fear
Yeah,
that would create,
absolutely.
to have your school board backing you up.
Yeah.
We're about the students. And if you have students and, I can't stress enough. And I mean, I've shared with others that, I lived in Woodburn at a time when ICE used to roll in buses that were green and they were painted, school buses, and they used to take away people's dads.
Yeah.
And it was a very scary thing. This is reality for a lot of families.
Mhm.
And you say previously they took away the dads, but they didn't come to the school districts.
Well, no, because taking away kids wasn't an option. They were looking for illegal working parents
They
then.
take away kids.
They weren't looking for undocumented kids. Now that's the fear. Now that's what they're threatening these children with.
So it sounds like we all want our students to be safe in school.
Correct.
And so how do we do this in a way where, one, I hear your concerns, but also, like, my concern is funding. So how do we do this in a way where none of those things are jeopardized?
Mhm.
And is this the answer?
Right. That's why I'd like some time to look over it and to look at language that, again, does not put a target on our back. But you know
Well, I
what? The
think
truth is we already
regardless
do.
of the language, it is a target on our back.
Yeah.
Like regardless of what you
Right.
change or add.
Yeah.
This will be a target. And
Right.
so if we want to protect our kids and we want to keep them safe, is adding a target, keeping them safe or protecting them, as we are here talking about keeping them safe.
I think it sends a message that says, we got your back.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
don't think it puts a target on the back. It says, we got your back.
Well, no, I think it is a target because the state of Oregon is already a target.
I think that multiple school districts around the state are already ahead of us and have already issued resolutions.
Right. And I hear that often, that other school districts are doing things. And for the years that I've been here, other school districts have done a lot of things that we have chosen not to. And I am so grateful that we didn't jump on that bandwagon for those several things. So it's like, what is the best way to respond to our community, to our students for what's going on now?
So I'm wondering if a more generic, like somewhat what we have, without, my suggestion of beefing it up, if there's other ways we can communicate that without it necessarily being in an official document that, similar to what Noemi is saying, as could engender a tension we don't want.
There's no new language here that hasn't already been communicated.
Yeah,
That was my next comment. This was all taken from existing
right,
policy that that the
right,
district already has. Is
Right.
that correct?
yeah,
This is taken from other communications that have already gone out.
yeah,
That's right. So there's nothing new here.
correct.
We're not sticking our necks out.
No,
This is all information that the district has already issued. We're just
Correct.
reiterating it, that we stand behind our
100%.
superintendent and we stand behind
Right.
our district.
right. So this is what's coming down from federal is, as I understand it, and I've read this and I have seen it in several sources that okay, I've lost my track of thought. I'm so sorry. I'm going to back up a little bit. The truth is, we have a state level of protection over top. You can't go after a district. They're going to go after the state, not individual districts. And obviously, this is already out there, but what they're looking for is accommodated language with the newest edicts. And so anything alluding to race, we have to be we can't use it. The Supreme Court has said that's not okay. And so I think, again, what the language that we have commonly used is no longer, I don't know what to say. It's no longer the prevailing language. And so I think looking at our documents, because if we are maintaining old language that has been deemed by the Supreme Court not okay, we risk our federal funding. Not a department, I'm not talking about departments being, you can do away, one thing is doing away with a department. Reallocating the monies within that department is, there's sneaky ways to get around
I don't
protections.
think, I mean, from my reading, they're not eliminating that department. It's pieces of it are
Right.
going to other
Correct.
department.
And therefore, right, correct. And funding's what, Noemi, I'm saying yes to everything I've heard yet here. It is, yes, this is already out there. Yes, we do want to put out support and protect, that, and we don't want to use inflammatory language that could potentially jeopardize federal fundings. Is that what? Yeah, and I second all of that. And the question is, so what do you do?
There's nothing here that's violating any law, and there's nothing here that already hasn't been communicated out.
Okay, well, okay, so there's been a presidential executive order that has changed the language. And that is what, and I'm talking within weeks. I mean, this is not, it hasn't had time to change laws, but the executive orders have changed things. And that's what I think we need to be cognizant of. And I think that's what Noemi is
Is right.
alluding to.
uncertainty, the unknown of the future impact
Mhm.
on this. And so as we want to protect and provide safe spaces for our students, how do we do that? How do we do that and not jeopardize any future funding? That's my question.
Yeah.
The language in this resolution has nothing that has not already been said.
Right, we know that. We know that.
Right, so there's no, I mean,
I-
there's nothing that's jeopardizing anything.
Right, but based, I think what Lisa's saying, like based on what's coming from top down, we don't know that.
Right, but we are not operating on a crystal ball here. So,
Okay, well,
I mean,
okay, there is language potentially that is already been deemed through an presidential executive order that is not, they don't like it. And we need to be cognizant of the language is changing regarding federal funding.
okay, but as of today,
Mhm.
if we were to vote on this
Mhm.
and have it go into effect today, I don't think that this is going to jeopardize our federal funding
Yeah,
today.
I think that's it, that we don't know.
Right, but we don't know, I mean,
Well, federal funding is, I mean, it's preschool program. I mean, it's funding for our students, the same students you want to protect, like these monies can no longer be available if that is the case, like we just
so are
don't know.
you saying that like, that Oregon's gonna lose its sanctuary
No,
status?
what
that
I'm
it got in
saying is,
1987?
I asked our legal attorney, by doing this, does it jeopardize our funding, our federal funding? The response was like, that's a great question. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think
So-
we could operate off of fear. I think we need to operate off of what we know right now. And what we know right now is our community is asking for the board to make a statement and to pass this resolution.
Yeah.
And
So given that there is a lot of uncertainty, I am not willing to support that.
I want a statement made. I just want us to be, I would like time to review the language and consult with people I know who are in the process of changing all their statements.
So this was reviewed by two different legal counsels, by Garrett Heeman and by
And that's enough for me, I mean.
the OSBA. as well.
I trust
I
my
trust my
superintendent
superintendent.
and I trust our legal counsel.
And that's what we've been told to do repeatedly in our
Mhm.
SBA training.
Has OSBA submitted anything? I haven't
There's
seen anything.
numerous school districts that are doing the same exact thing.
Well, a rumor, yeah, but again, has OSBA submitted or presented on their website or all the emails that we're getting from them pertaining to this subject?
That's a good question.
I don't know if that
They-
would come directly.
Yeah, they haven't provided sample policy or resolution.
But numerous other
Shouldn't it be,
districts are doing it.
but shouldn't it be a topic that they should address because they are our mentors and somebody we would go to in reference to, in support of.
We could advocate up to OSBA and say, hey, this should be something that should be discussed as well. And we're hoping that you put something out as also.
Because we're always looking up to them for guidance and training and resources and knowledge.
I think they're probably getting ready for budgets. Yeah, maybe.
But again, this is a topic that's been out in the media, and immigration has always been an issue. You know, people, you've mentioned ICE buses, but ICE vehicles, immigration vehicles have just, way before even the executive order, I've seen them around the state of Oregon all the time. You know, have they come to the city of Woodburn and to our campuses?
I think, there's a lot of rhetoric and rumor and that it's created heightened sense of fear and panic.
Yeah.
And so these messages are opportunities for us to kind of to lower that and let people know, like, here's where we stand. We support the laws that are in place to protect you. And it's just a statement of reaffirming the support of the laws, of the current laws and practices.
For me, it's just, it's about the students. We worry about attendance. We want the kids to be able to come to school. We've got issues with attendance at the high school level, the middle school. We want the kids to be able to come to school. We want to ensure them that there's no reason to stay home. Any, barrier to remove that. It's this is why we're here. It's about the students.
Don't you think they'd be safer on campus? At home, I can just come to their house and for many reasons, to their neighbors or, to somebody calling on somebody.
That's not the,
So,
right, first of all, they don't have to let them in their house, but yes, but I don't think that's the point is we do need something that is out there to reassure and address the fear and that we are in a new climate. We are not in the same chapter. Yes, there's always been ICE, yes, but there's threat, there's new threat,
Right.
and it's meaningful threat. I, again, believe that we have our state law protections. We're really blessed with all of that. And it's our job to help reassure our community and inform our community. And I guess part of my concern is just that this is very, so that newspapers are printed, I believe, at a 5th grade level of reading levels. I don't know, this is like college level. I mean, this is pretty heavy legalese. So this may be appropriate. And I'd like to see more, more statements or more way to get out the word to reassure people that there are protections in place.
So you have the superintendent's statement that he sent out before.
Right, and I thank you, Juan, I have read that. And my son came home the day, like the first day, so I don't even remember what it was happened, and he told me, we went over this in class, and I thought, well, awesome, you know? So yes, there is stuff, but again, the need is ongoing, and I'm listening to our schools, and, you know, I just hear the distress. And it's very distressing for teachers. It's distressing for us sitting here. So I'm not giving any answers here, other than yes to everything I'm hearing. I do see on the OSB delegation to DC, they were there in February. And I would be, it's not opening. So thank you for bringing that up, because I will read through this more and see if there is any language. But not every school board is going to have the same concerns as we do. So,
Every community is going to be a little bit different and have different needs and different fears. But this is a real fear in our community.
right.
And just having the messages that we could continue to reaffirm and reassure our students and our staff and our families is important. There's nothing here that's new language, and it's just a space for us to kind of all get behind a message of, hey, we're here for you, we have your backs.
Right. I'm wondering if we could get feedback of what could we do, what specifically do teachers have that they're not seeing, or families? What specifically what are the questions that are still floating around? Are they just the basics that we've gone over and that we will continue to go over? Or are there other active I don't know. I'd like feedback from the people who are in the trenches as to what more they believe would help ameliorate this fear.
Like what other support or resources would?
Yeah, and I don't see it costing a lot of money necessarily. As far as, so that's my 2 cents.
Well, that's a question we should have asked Washington.
Yeah, we
For
should've.
example, like, you know.
And I'm
That
sure
you
Tony will
could
be happy to
probably
provide
take
that
a
for us.
survey or have the building admins take a survey.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
So like, have we had an impact on, attendance is the number one important, safety and, everyday counts. And because of this executive order of immigration fear, has there been a, down impact on attendance due to the fact that students feel more safe at home versus on campus?
I don't have like hard data to present that say that this has factored in X amount. I see that our attendance is holding steady. We had some drops initially at the start of the year, and our attendance is kind of holding steady. But I have anecdotal conversations like we heard tonight about the impact that it's having on families, students, and family events as well. We want to work to minimize impacts on attendance and what might keep keeping kids from school, what might be keeping them, what might be keeping people away. Like
Right.
if we, have an opportunity to do that and minimize any sort of thing that a barrier that might be in place.
Yeah.
We want to remove that barrier.
Right.
We want to do everything we can to remove it.
Right.
I guess my issue, if we have concerns with the language that's in here, which is just restating what's already been stated,
Yeah.
then do we need to go back and look at what's already been stated and consider editing that? Because if there's concerns with this language that's already been issued by the school district, are you saying that you have concerns with the outreach and the messaging that's already gone out?
My concern is connected to funding. No
With,
matter-
with the messaging that's already
no
gone
matter
out?
no matter what the language is on here, the messaging as far as like resources available to
That,
families.
that the school district has sent out to parents? That's
Reiterate.
that's all, this is already stating what's already been, that's already been sent out to parents. Essentially, this is state law.
Yeah.
This is just stating state law. So is that what your issue is? I guess I'm not understanding how
My
this
issue
puts
is-
an
my-
extra
my
target on
question-
us.
My question is, and my question was to legal, would this impact our district in a way that it would impact federal funding? And I didn't get a response. So my question is, would it jeopardize funding? We don't know. And that is where it's hard for me to make a decision based on not knowing.
But under that argument, then the school district should do no outreach under immigration. Send out nothing, should just,
No, well,
should
no,
not.
I don't think
Well, then.
those are different.
Well, not really, because these are things that we've already said. These are all statements that the district has already said and has already issued, has already sent to all the parents, all the students. These are
Well, no,
things that have
you're-
already
well,
been said.
Okay, so you're adopting a resolution. One, we know immigration is political. Would you say that?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
So I represent students from the entire spectrum of what that looks like.
Right,
Well, I'm speaking about me. Okay, so me,
as a board,
as an individual board member.
okay,
So my role in many of these things is to maintain neutral and think about like what is best for all. And so I don't know that this is best for all, especially when we don't know if it's going to impact funding.
And it doesn't matter what we've already said. What matters is what we say now going forward as far as the funding. Because what they're looking for is, are you in alliance with the new thing? And I don't see anything wrong with this because it is state law. And my guess, I might feel better if there was some state law within the text that we're citing that.
There is
Under
no
state
or.
law, we have this.
Well, it says we support Oregon sanctuary laws.
Right, and then I would have the statute right there.
Yeah, where's the ORS
Yeah, that.
reference, so forth.
Yeah.
And we mentioned safety. We always want safety. So the safety impact factors, there's many levels to it. Environment, classroom, funding, teachers, outreach support, which is already there. So
Can you tell me what paragraph you're referring to when you talk about safety on here? Because what specifically are you making reference to when you are talking about safety?
we want to keep our students safe at all
Right,
times. Okay.
right.
So, but this all talks about fear. It's just constantly
No,
repetitive.
this is reaffirming safe and welcoming schools for all, and then it,
Right, which is safety.
right, it's a resolution, and there's a paragraph that details each and every area.
So Rosie, I'm wondering, I think I'm hearing something that I hadn't, all of this you're suggesting goes under safety. And nobody can argue with that everybody wants physically safe places. Is that what you're saying? That this would fit under that, like it's a broader statement that this is specifically speaking to immigration threat?
And emphasizes fear, 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 just throughout the whole thing. It's like,
Well, that's what it said to address fear. We're trying to say,
and how are we going to prevent the students
from
like,
being,
just this piece of paper is
Yeah,
gonna
right.
make them feel more comfortable?
Number one
and-
talks about we're committing to support inclusive school environments. Number two talks about access regardless of immigration status and free public K through 12 education. And we welcome and support all students. Number three talks about the district has a responsibility to ensure that all students who reside within its boundaries, regardless of immigration status, can safely access a free education. We're not talking about like campus monitors
Right.
and that kind of safety. We're talking about access to education. That's what it's talking about.
Yeah.
More like that kind of access.
But with or without, students have access to education,
Which they already do.
regardless of immigration status.
Exactly.
And we're just reaffirming that.
Correct.
Yeah. Which is,
So-
yeah,
So
and
if we
again,
need
I'm,
to keep reading it out loud, let's just go line by line
yeah.
and
What,
talk about what it,
Okay.
what it says.
Mhm. No, I don't have any, what it says is all correct.
I mean, it says that it's our commitment, the staff, the families, the community members, that they would feel welcomed and safe when accessing our campuses, the district office. I mean, we support Oregon sanctuary laws under which no public resources, including school employees, may be used to assist with federal immigration enforcement actions. Immigration officials will not be allowed to access to any part of a school building beyond the school office and absence a judicial order. Immigration and Custom Enforcement, ICE officials do not have the authority to remove a student from school. I mean, shall I keep going?
That's good.
Very
No,
clear.
it is.
It's very explicit.
I'm wondering, do we need the whereas after we are committed to eliminating barriers? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 5, whereas fear, worry, and stress is not conducive to student learning and education. Is that necessary here? On that particular? Because I like the whereas we are committed, now therefore be it resolved. I think that speaks of more action.
I think the reason why it's there is we're laying out the
Justifying.
stepping stones of
Mhm.
why it's necessary for us to reaffirm. This is why we need to reaffirm that, because this is why we're saying it, because we are recognizing
Right,
that we need our students in school.
Right.
It is not conducive to a learning environment. You know, we want our kids to be there learning.
Right. I just don't, I think that little piece right there, it just doesn't, I know what you're saying. It would just tighten the whole thing up if we took it out. And to me, it conveys more, now therefore, we got the 1, 2, 3, 4, and then be resolved. I don't know that whatever. I'm wordsmithing.
I mean, it's the same thing as at the bottom where it says, be it further resolved that
Right.
our students, staff, families, and community members should not feel fear,
Yeah.
anxiety, or stress.
And I like that. I like that. I
Yeah,
just
I
don't
mean,
think
they
this
go
right here,
hand in
take it
hand
out. I just would
because,
take
you
that
know,
one out.
Reaffirming, and we're saying why.
Yeah. Okay, well, where are we with this?
So I make the motion that we adopt resolution 25-001, reaffirming safe and welcoming schools for all.
Is there a second?
I second.
All in favor of adopting resolution number 25-001, reaffirming safe and welcoming schools for all, please say aye.
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 2 yays. Lisa?
I want to check with OSBA in regards to,
Right, but we're voting right now.
right,
Right.
so
So we need to vote.
What are your votes?
What's your vote?
I need you to say them out loud.
So mine's nay.
mine's nay. As I'd like more feedback to our, so nay.
No. Thank you. Moving on to next item. The board's role in school finance webinar debrief. So we had an opportunity to review the webinar about school financing. Any thoughts or questions on that? I can speak for myself. I would say most of my questions, I think, the business department director, Sarah Bishop, answered. And I think we will just continue to have those questions as things keep coming up. And also just knowing what the state decides on budget. But if there are any specific questions that came up for you, this might be a good time. I think we were going to write them down and maybe have those answered next time. So if there's anything that came up, we can kind of go around.
Write them down and hand them in, or how do you want us to?
We
do
have
that?
a
Oh, you can
survey,
say it.
a Google form that we'll be sharing with the board. We want to be responsive to what questions you have. And so after, I'm sure, some things got triggered after watching the webinar. So if you have them now, we can collect some questions now, but we'll send out that form to gather all of them so that at the March meeting, we could come back and present information to get the questions answered that you might have about our school budget or school finance. Do you have that survey? And Jenny will send it right now to the board so that you all have that. And so even after tonight, if you still have some lingering questions and some things come up, let us know so that we could proactively provide those responses to you.
I've taken the seminar on the previous convention,
At the
conferences, and it's very, very informative. It's great to refresh ourselves from that, understanding the roles and the budget, because there's so many, symbols, and, we need to understand where the funds are coming from, federal, state, and otherwise, and how it's budgetized, and because we're always concerned about we have enough funds for our students, that we have enough funds to pay our teachers and class sizes and materials and maintenance and buses and all that. All of that is covered. It's all allocated in one way and another. So this is a great refresher course. I feel like we need to review it more than once a year, not just in conferences.
Yes, it does take some time to learn the
Oh, yeah.
budget language, for sure.
And then every time a new law comes out, or a new funding comes out, it's in order for us to understand where all the budgets are and where the money goes, we'd have to take the refresher course. And
Do we have any specific questions? So you do have the opportunity, once you receive that email, if any questions come up connected to school finance, you can enter that information. Any other thoughts or comments about school budgeting? Okay, seeing none, we can move along to future agenda items. So next, any topics of interest?
I would like to have um, the board statement, is that what we called it, proclamation that we just voted upon, that we revisit that at our next meeting, and that my intention would be that we have something that we could be all in agreement on.
So then if we want to make that an agenda item.
Yeah.
Then that would be the board choosing to do
Yeah.
that.
Okay, so that's what I'm asking. I don't know how to facilitate that. Does that make sense, what I just said?
So are you asking for a rewrite? Or, I mean, are we asking for just us to discuss this exact same document more?
So what? Oh, you, correct, because Rosie wanted more time to see what OSB had to say. I wanted to look over just some of the federal things I was looking at. And after having more information, I may be more comfortable to pass it. And so I'm just saying that we revisit that again at our next meeting.
Jenny, how will that work? When something dies,
Yeah, what I'm interpreting is that you're asking for like a work session type agenda where the board is like wordsmithing it and
Well, we're just Rosie,
adding that to the next board meeting. If the board would like to do that.
well, I don't know that we need more work on it. I mean, I don't know. Did somebody paraphrase what I just said?
I feel like any wordsmithing would then have to go back to legal counsel, is that correct? Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm. Well, and I may be comfortable with the wording after more inquiry. So I'm suggesting that we take another vote after Rosie and I have had some time to, some more inquiry, and we could do that in the next meeting.
Yeah, I think,
it would just be a new agenda item.
we would kind of need consensus if the board, the majority of the board would like to have it back on the agenda.
So the majority of the board would need to agree to that.
To have it on the agenda. Yeah, so,
So can we get a consensus now, like a thumbs up, if that's something that you would like?
Sure.
And I'm open to that as well.
yeah,
So it looks like you've got majority.
And are we thinking March? We have March is a little,
We only
unique.
have
We
one
have a
meeting.
meeting
Yeah,
in 2
we
weeks,
only
but
have one meeting.
April.
Yeah.
Are we having a work session? Or are we having a special?
Yeah, do we have a work session coming up in April?
No, we don't. We just have a one, yeah. So we have March 11th, and then we have April 8th.
so I'm suggesting March 11th on that agenda.
Are there already several things on that? Because there's only one meeting scheduled in the month of March.
We have the high school presentation. We'll have the follow-up to the budget questions that the board has tonight. And then we have a couple other possible items to be added that evening. But we definitely could add it to March.
My feeling is that it wouldn't take up a lot of time. Just, again, I'm asking for an opportunity, just a little time. Like 2 weeks to the next meeting that I think it would be worth the boards, because I do believe some form of statement is an important thing. And that this very well might be the appropriate, I just need to investigate a little bit more.
So it sounds like the majority of the board would like that. Is that correct? I see heads now.
I do think if we're going to get something out, we need to get it out timely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
'cause
I
that's
totally agree.
Another 2 weeks and then disseminating it, it's like another 3 weeks. So
So in 2 weeks,
then we're
March
going to
11th.
spring break.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's the soonest we could do it is March 11th. So let's get that on the
Okay.
calendar
To
and
do what exactly?
to bring it up for the question of, do we want to adopt it or not? And I think Rosie and I we're asking for opportunity for a little inquiry. And we may feel comfortable to say yay or nay. I mean, I think it's worth another, I don't see it being a long drawn out discussion the way it is right now.
So I hear you saying that you're gonna go and do your homework and then you'll come back.
Yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing you say? Okay, so you're gonna go to your homework and you're gonna come back,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All right, so it sounds like thumbs up for majority of the board.
Is there anything you need from us?
I don't think so. I appreciate it. I mean, that it had been through legal, that it is based on Oregon law. That was helpful.
Other agenda items? So the following isn't an agenda item, but we do have the STEM Festival coming up March 6th, which I think is next Tuesday.
March
And
6th is a Thursday.
what time? Did I get the date?
4th.
Oh, the 4th. Oh, it's from 6 to 8. That's when I got confused.
Sorry, the what?
6 p.m. to 8.
Festival,
The STEM Festival.
I don't know.
science,
It's science.
technology, engineering, and math.
Right, it's an event it's a district-wide event, but
like a science
usually
night.
elementary and middle school host it. Last year was at Heritage and Valor. This year it's at French Prairie. We normally commit to having a table, we as in like the board. I don't think we decided on that this year. I am committing to being there if you would like to attend.
So it's
can
on the
join us.
4th.
Yes, 6 to 8. And then another event is Dia del Niño, which is April 26th. It's on a Saturday from 2 to 6. That is an event that I feel like we've always attended as a board in the previous years.
What did you call it?
Dia del Niño.
Oh,
David Kids.
not what I heard.
And we did not commit to that this year, but I will be there if you would like to join for part of it or all of it. Just
The
extending
26th,
the
right?
invitation.
And location?
At the high school.
Woodburn High
Usually
School.
At the high
Okay.
school. So if you can go for an hour or all of it or, portion of it.
I
Just,
can't guarantee it because it's our Easter.
oh, on that day.
So,
Yeah.
but STEM, I am looking forward to attending that.
And I will be there at the STEM.
Any other topics for future agenda items? All right, so moving on to board calendar. We have February 27th, this Thursday, board school visits to the preschool and Washington Elementary from 11 to 1. March 11th, we have the regular board meeting. March 13th, we have a school visit to the high school, Success, and the CLC.
Do we have somebody who's gonna, because last year that Success was canceled because there was nobody to guide us or.
Yeah, we fully anticipate making the tour available. We'll schedule that. It's scheduled. We're going to make it happen.
I just mentioned about your visit to the preschool. We'll start off on Thursday right across the street at Cipriano at 11. Parking is very limited, so there's some parking in the back of the building as you drive in past the preschool to the left. Or please park in the bus circle and then just try to park as close as you can. The last option is to park here and walk across the street. Please use the crosswalk.
But we can't use the church parking, huh?
No, I would prefer you would use our parking lot here or park in the bus circle is fine too.
In the bus circle, is that in front of the building?
Yeah, it's a little, like, yeah, just a little bus circle, not a big one.
All right.
Are we talking about which,
Right across the street
Right
at
where
Level.
the woman that said apartments.
okay,
If you enter the apartment complex, if
I
you
did
go.
not know that.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah,
I
an
can send you the
address.
address.
Okay.
At the lights, you just go straight and it's to the left.
Very simple.
Which light? The
Kind of where they're
Meridian
building
light?
that covered playground,
Traffic light,
that building right there. There
The
you go.
traffic-
Right across the street.
right across the
Yeah,
street
that's it.
on the corner of,
Oh, where they're
No,
building
it-
the, yeah, okay, yeah, just across,
the
across from
church
the
is on
church,
the,
yeah.
on the right, and on the left is the apartments and the preschool.
Yeah, I've been curious to see that.
At Washington.
At Washington.
Oh, that's right. Did you say lunch? Food? Did I hear food? When is that?
Yeah, the preschool visit will be quick. It's right before their nap time. So, and then you'll have lunch at Washington.
Okay. 11 a.m.
11 a.m. at the preschool first.
No, I meant on March 13th.
Oh, yeah, you'll have lunch too. I don't know what time their lunch is, but
March, they got like free lunches.
we'll figure it
We'll
out.
figure it, yeah. We'll schedule one.
Are they always at 11 a.m.?
Other questions? All right, seeing none.
None.
It is now 9:22 and I adjourn this meeting. Thank you for everyone who's stayed till the end. Have a good night.
I can't believe